Empirical research methods and GPT-3 implications, the race to dominate research and intelligence, an inquiry into the moral hazards of artificial general intelligence. Volume 1. First edition. By Dr. Patrick Huff and Dr. Kirk Marshall Clayton. July 2023. Huff University of California. Global Digital Library, Parrot Learning Systems, CRC Research Consultancy, and Global Performance Strategies AG Incorporated. Published and distributed solely by Amazon. Copyright of this paper is held by the author. All rights reserved. This work is protected against unauthorized copying under Title 17, United States Code.
Author's notes. Study emphasis. This study offers educational information, trusted evidence, findings, inferences, and determinations that pertain to the statements, hypotheses, predictions, and conclusions presented. The accompanying literature reviews have been extracted from various international universities, research institutes, acknowledged scholars, and subject matter experts on the topic in critical inquiries selected. The topics. This study covers several of the significant interests that are important to international community leaders, corporate executives, decision-makers, policy analysts, scholars, and researchers. The information, data cited, and scientific methods applied in this investigation best suit those involved in international investigations, studies, education, research institutions, government agencies, consultants, and policy developers. The authors. Dr. Huff and Dr. K. Clayton conceptualized this paper in 2011 while pursuing their doctorate of education and psychology at Pepperdine University. Although Dr. Clayton's ultimate contributions to this paper were cut short by his death in 2021 due to COVID-19 vaccination-related health complications, his notes, conceptualizations, and educational goals were recorded by Dr. Huff. As a result, this paper follows many of the thoughts and intellectual guidance provided. Dr. Huff created this paper due to his commitment to continue along the path supplied by Dr. K. Clayton and his leadership and coaching goals. Among these were Dr. K. Clayton's desire to ensure offering the benefit of his experiences and knowledge to advance academic students across all borders, cultures, and color in support of their efforts to better identify, select research design, methods of investigation, and ensure their research is appropriately formatted and executed using a standard empirical scientific method and process that best fits their endeavors. Further, Dr. K. Clayton intended to offer clear and precise information on educational topics to increase appreciation and understanding of the importance of being able to conduct critical investigations, reports of findings, and to contribute to filling in the gaps in developing theory and novel concepts. All these were considered by Dr. K. Clayton to be essential to growth and the continuous improvement in the quality of life, enjoyment, and renewal of our environment across all cultures, forms of governance, ideologies, and diversities. As Dr. K. Clayton would say, "Allow me to be your coach as we apply our efforts towards advancing you to the next level of your goals." Abstract. Part of this experiment focuses on posing a series of probing inquiries to GPT-3 and 4 chatbots to ascertain their abilities to formulate and communicate responses. The investigators were interested in determining the level and quality of assistance the chatbot could offer in shaping and structuring an academic paper given an investigation into a critical question or series of research inquiries into a focused topic. In addition, the investigators were interested in discovering each chatbot's ability in association with other intelligent applications and its abilities when applied to in-depth empirical studies and presentations of findings. This experiment chose the topic of exploring the nature of the empirical scientific method or process. The intent is to use each chatbot to support a researcher's efforts to conduct an intermediate and advanced academic paper to assist scholars and enhance the level of inspiration, desires, and contributions toward achieving the next level of intelligent engagement and inquiry. Next, this paper sought to answer two critical questions. First, what represents the present state of scientific empirical methods and processes? and is it relevant considering the emergence of artificial general intelligence, AGI? And second, how does the emergence of artificial general intelligence, generative intelligence, impact the nature of conducting the scientific empirical method and process? The investigation covers these questions, including several basic research investigation types, characteristics, and conceptual definitions. It concludes by assessing the observations, findings, and conclusions about the two central questions. This paper's authors and supporting research team members have taken this task to contribute to the leading edge of scientific investigation and the advancement of emerging concepts and theories as novel products that are believed to be obtainable through the application and use of artificial general intelligence, AGI. This investigation into the background, use, tools, designs, methods, neuro or semantic networks, statistical instruments applied, and the analytics that can be applied to support and assist in the interpretation of a set of findings that will infer how the emergence of artificial general intelligence will impact future scientific research. Moreover, this paper includes the identification of several leading critical thinkers and AI creators and developers and the factors or influencers that are driving this integration and that appears to be the most significantly associated with a set of likely outcomes. Keywords: scientific method, semantic networks, neural networks, academic, leadership, coaching, artificial intelligence, ChatGPT-3, ChatGPT-4, Pepperdine University, organizational leadership, organizational development.
The following is a brief description of the contents covered in this investigation. The author's notes. Abstract. Chapter 1, Introduction and Background. Background. What is the scientific method or process in practice? What is the origin of the empirical scientific method or approach? Ancient philosophers and the scientific process. Types of research and standardized methods. Etymology. 1. Original research. 2. Scientific research. 3. Research in the humanities. 4. Artistic research. 5. Historical research. 6. Documentary research. 7. Non-empirical research. 8. Metadata research. Research methods. Chapter 2, Purpose and Importance of the Systemic Research Approach. Key components of the method or process. Research design. Formulating a clear research question. Review of literature. Creating a comprehensive search. Peer assistance and direct engagement. Maintain referencing standards and acknowledgement transparency. A mathematical expression for the empirical scientific method or process. The origin of Bayesian inference. Inference complexity and approximation algorithms. Hypotheses and central statements. Determining the validity of the hypotheses, H1 and HO, and central statements. Hypothesis H1, a review of the literature. Hypothesis H1. Observations and discussion. Chapter 3, Approach, Method, and Theory. Approach. Methodology. Applied theory. Bounds and limitations. AI-generated references. Funding. Bias and ethics. Format. Chapter 4, Exploration and Findings. Investigations, observations and discoveries, and assessments. Core issues, restated, and explored. Tests and observations. ChatGPT-3, chatbot, test and observations. Test data, assessment, and analysis. Observations and assessments. Chapter 5, Conclusions, Recommendations, and Lessons Learned. Conclusions. Authors and research teams' determinations and insights. Concluding determinations and insights from ChatGPT-3. Recommendations. Lessons learned. Authors' endnotes. Working with Chatbot. Chapter 1, Introduction and Background. This experiment aimed to pose a series of probing inquiries to ascertain ChatG.P.T.'s abilities to formulate and communicate responses that, when reshaped and structured to a standard paper protocol of organization, would form a coherent and factually accurate in-depth presentation on this subject. Background. The empirical scientific method, often regarded as the cornerstone of scientific inquiry, can be explained as a systematic and rigorous approach to investigating and comprehending natural and phenomenological observations through empirical, evidence-based, reoccurring events or outcomes that can be supported by reasoning or logical inferences. At its core, the empirical scientific method involves the formulation of testable hypotheses or theories, which serve as potential explanations for a specific phenomenon or set of phenomena. These hypotheses are constructed based on existing knowledge, theoretical frameworks, and identifying gaps in understanding. Once a hypothesis is formulated, scientists design and conduct experiments or observational studies to collect data that either supports or refutes the idea. Careful consideration is given to experimental design, including the selection and control of variables, to ensure reliable and valid results. This process often entails the development of specific methodologies, data collection instruments, and statistical analysis techniques tailored to the research question at hand. What is the scientific method or process in practice? Hugh G. Gotch, in his paper titled Scientific Method in Practice, provides a comprehensive overview of the scientific method, its principles, and its practical application in scientific inquiry. As such, Gotch's paper emphasizes the importance of understanding the scientific method as a dynamic and iterative process that involves observation, hypothesis formulation, experimentation, and data analysis. Many deep research scholars today argue that one of the problems today is that young practitioners in the field of research and supporting investigations are no longer holding to the traditional standards of practice established to ensure such have sufficiently engaged in the rigor of arduous data collection, investigative design, and structuring, use of appropriate analysis and assessment tools, error assessments, and bias control protocols to properly arrive at valid conclusions. As a result, a growing number of scientific studies that have been filed with peer-reviewed journals are being rejected as poorly constructed, not considered valid research, or outright fraudulent. Gotch highlights the following as a reminder to scholars of what represents necessary protocols for valid research. Research must abide by the scientific method's core principles, including empiricism, logical reasoning, and objectivity. He explains that the scientific method is rooted in empirical observation, where scientists gather data through systematic observation of natural phenomena. This data serves as the foundation for formulating hypotheses, which are testable explanations or predictions about the observed phenomena. Continuing, Gotch adds that properly conducted research delves into the iterative nature of the scientific method, emphasizing that it involves a continuous cycle of hypothesis testing, experimentation, data analysis, and refinement of theories. Gotch emphasizes that scientific inquiry is characterized by its openness to revision and modification in light of new evidence. Moreover, Gotch argues the role of experimentation in the scientific method, highlighting the importance of carefully designed experiments wherein the selection of control variables is critical for data analysis to generate reliable and reproducible results. He emphasizes the need for objectivity and minimizing biases in experimental design, and data analysis are additionally essential elements that must be followed as a part of the overall protocol adherence. Next, Gotch addresses the importance of logical reasoning in the scientific method. He explains how scientists supplement human reason and experience using deductive and inductive reasoning tools, computerized or otherwise, to draw logical conclusions based on available evidence. He highlights that humans still play a critical role in statistical analysis when quantifying evidence's strength and validity, including drawing meaningful conclusions from structured data. He continues by exploring the various components of the scientific method, including the formulation of research questions, the development of hypotheses, the design of experiments, data collection and analysis, and the interpretation and communication of results in much the same manner. This paper covers these topics. Further, Gotch emphasizes that scientific research should be conducted with integrity, transparency, ethics, moral turpitude, and rigor to ensure the highest possible validity and reliability of the investigation and findings. Moreover, Gotch provides examples and case studies to illustrate the practical application of the scientific method in different scientific disciplines. He discusses the challenges and limitations of the scientific method, such as the presence of uncertainties and the potential for biases. He also addresses the role of creativity and imagination in scientific inquiry, highlighting that the scientific method does not stifle innovation but rather provides a framework for disciplined and systematic exploration of the natural world. Finally, as Gotch's paper was selected randomly from a corpus of works on this topic, he provides a comprehensive overview of the scientific method, its principles, and its practical application in scientific research, underscoring the importance of empirical observation, logical reasoning, and objectivity in scientific inquiry. These rigors include the iterative and dynamic nature of the scientific method and the role of experimentation, data analysis, and hypothesis testing. Dr. Huff argues that Gotch's works represent a valuable resource for researchers, scholars, academics, students, and anyone interested in understanding and applying proper scientific methods in the workplace. What is the origin of the empirical scientific method or approach? The origin and historical use of the empirical scientific method or process can be traced back to ancient civilizations and has evolved significantly over time. Here, we will explore the key milestones and contributors that shaped this approach to understanding the natural world. The roots of empirical inquiry can be found in ancient Greece, where philosophers like Aristotle emphasized the importance of observation and data collection. However, the empirical scientific method gained prominence during the scientific revolution in the 16th and 17th centuries. This period witnessed a shift from reliance on ancient authorities and philosophical speculation to a more systematic and evidence-based approach to knowledge acquisition. One of the key figures in the development of the empirical scientific method was Francis Bacon, an English philosopher and statesman. Bacon advocated for a methodical approach to scientific inquiry, emphasizing the importance of systematic observation, experimentation, and the accumulation of data. In his work Novum Organum, Bacon outlined the principles of inductive reasoning, where general conclusions are derived from specific observations. Another influential figure was René Descartes, a French philosopher and mathematician. Descartes introduced deductive reasoning as a complementary approach to the empirical method. He emphasized the importance of logical reasoning and mathematical analysis in understanding the natural world. Descartes' work on Cartesian coordinates and his dualistic philosophy laid the foundation for integrating mathematics into scientific investigations. The scientific method as we know it today began to take shape with the contributions of Sir Isaac Newton, an English physicist and mathematician. Newton's groundbreaking work in mechanics and his formulation of the laws of motion provided a framework for empirical experimentation and mathematical modeling. Newton's approach combined observation, experimentation, and mathematical analysis to develop theories that could explain and predict natural phenomena. During the 19th century, the scientific method continued to evolve with the advent of specialized scientific disciplines. This period saw significant advancements in fields such as chemistry, physics, biology, and geology. Scientists like Antoine Lavoisier, John Dalton, Charles Darwin, and Louis Pasteur significantly contributed to their respective fields by applying the empirical scientific method. In the early 20th century, the empirical scientific method became further refined with the rise of positivism and the influence of philosophers such as Karl Popper. Popper emphasized the importance of falsifiability in scientific hypotheses, arguing that scientific knowledge should be based on testable and refutable claims. This perspective added an element of critical scrutiny and rigor to the scientific process. The development of statistical methods in the 20th century also profoundly impacted empirical scientific research. Statistical tools enabled researchers to analyze and interpret complex data, providing a quantitative basis for drawing conclusions and making predictions. This integration of statistics into the scientific method enhanced the objectivity and reproducibility of research findings. In recent decades, the empirical scientific method has continued to evolve with the advancement of technology and interdisciplinary research. Using sophisticated instruments, computer simulations, and computational modeling has opened new avenues for data collection, analysis, and theory development. Scientists can now investigate complex systems and phenomena previously inaccessible or difficult to study. Moreover, the emergence of open science practices and collaborative research networks has fostered greater transparency, reproducibility, and shared knowledge within the scientific community. These developments have enhanced the credibility and integrity of empirical scientific research, allowing for more robust and reliable findings. In summary, the empirical scientific method has a rich historical lineage that dates back to ancient times but gained significant prominence during the scientific revolution. It has been shaped by the contributions of numerous philosophers, scientists, and thinkers who emphasized the importance of observation, experimentation, and logical reasoning. Over time, the method has become more refined, incorporating statistical analysis, falsifiability, and technological advancements. Today, the empirical scientific method remains a cornerstone of scientific inquiry, providing a systematic and evidence-based approach to understanding the natural world and advancing human knowledge. Ancient philosophers and the scientific process. Several ancient philosophers contributed significantly to developing the empirical scientific method, emphasizing the importance of observation, data collection, and empirical inquiry. Here, we will explore three philosophers who played critical roles in shaping this approach during their time. Aristotle, 384 to 322 BCE, a Greek philosopher. Aristotle was one of the earliest proponents of empirical observation and data collection. He believed knowledge about the natural world should be based on empirical evidence rather than pure speculation or reliance on authority. Aristotle's works, such as Physics and History of Animals, reflect his emphasis on systematic observation and classification of natural phenomena. He advocated for gathering detailed empirical data to establish general principles and causal relationships. Aristotle's approach laid the groundwork for systematically studying the natural world and influenced subsequent thinkers. Hippocrates, 460 to 370 BCE. Hippocrates, often referred to as the father of medicine, made significant contributions to the empirical study of medicine. He emphasized the importance of direct observation, clinical experience, and data collection in understanding diseases and formulating effective treatments. Hippocrates stresses the significance of patient history, physical examination, and careful observation of symptoms to make accurate diagnoses. His approach, known as the Hippocratic method, emphasized the systematic collection of data and the use of empirical evidence to guide medical practice. Hippocrates' emphasis on observation and evidence-based medicine set the foundation for the empirical approach in medical science. Thales of Miletus, 624 to 546 BCE. Thales, a Greek philosopher and mathematician, is considered one of the first philosophers to apply a systematic and empirical approach to understanding the natural world. He sought to explain natural phenomena, such as earthquakes and celestial events, through rational and empirical means rather than relying on mythical or supernatural explanations. Thales' approach involved making predictions based on observed patterns and using empirical evidence to support his claims. While his theories might not have met the rigorous standards of modern scientific inquiry, his emphasis on observation and rational explanation laid the groundwork for developing the empirical scientific method. These ancient philosophers paved the way for the empirical scientific method by emphasizing the importance of observation, data collection, and evidence-based reasoning. Their ideas set the stage for future thinkers to refine and build upon their foundations. While the empirical scientific method as we know it today evolved over centuries, the contributions of these ancient philosophers laid the groundwork for the systematic investigation of the natural world based on empirical evidence. Their influence can still be seen in the principles and practices of modern scientific inquiry. While Socrates, 469 to 399 BCE, is renowned for his contributions to philosophy, his approach differed from the empirical scientific method. Socrates focused on pursuing wisdom and knowledge through philosophical inquiry rather than empirical observation and data collection. While completing his doctorate and ongoing scientific studies, Dr. Huff observed what he inferred was a significant association or connection between what is commonly referred to as the Socratic method and the dialectic process used when formulating and conducting interviews and/or interrogatory responses or exchanges from respondents in sampling groups. He found the Socratic dialectic invaluable in supporting the exploration, shaping, and gathering of increasingly revealing facts pertaining to inquiries that significantly improve the value and quality of the sampling dialectic in both written and oral formats. It is generally known in the field of investigation and findings determinations by using a dialectical that Socrates employed a method of inquiry known as the Socratic method or elenchus, which involved engaging in dialogues and questioning to stimulate critical thinking and self-reflection. Socrates' goal was to arrive at a deeper understanding and uncover truths through logical reasoning and examination of concepts and beliefs. Unlike the empirical scientific method, which relies on systematic observation and empirical evidence, Socrates' approach significantly emphasizes ethical and moral questions, the nature of knowledge, and the examination of one's beliefs. Socrates' focus on ethics and moral standards are substantially in question as applied in much of the research pursued today by many public and private researchers. Dr. Huff argues that as research has become funded by governments and large corporations with specifically desired or intended outcomes or findings, the practice of independent and largely unbiased studies is significantly less than before such interests were directly engaged in directed research. This phenomenon has increased the need for researchers to conduct in-depth cross-examinations or scrutiny of all the resources, information, and data they use in their studies that are not directly generated in their original investigative processes and supporting data. Given this, Socrates' contributions to philosophy primarily centered on epistemology, ethics, and developing critical thinking skills. It is important to note that while Socrates' approach differed from empirical scientific methodology, his influence on subsequent philosophers, including Plato and Aristotle, was significant. Plato, one of Socrates' students, later established the Academy, where he further developed philosophical ideas and incorporated elements of empirical observation and scientific inquiry into his works. Another Plato student, Aristotle, contributed substantially to developing the empirical scientific method. While Socrates may not be directly associated with the empirical scientific method, his philosophical legacy and the Socratic method inspire critical thinking, intellectual inquiry, and the exploration of fundamental questions underpinning scientific investigation. His emphasis on self-examination, logical reasoning, and pursuit of wisdom contributed to a broader intellectual climate that fostered the development of empirical scientific methodology in subsequent centuries. Types of research and standardized research methods. Etymology. The etymology of the empirical scientific method or process can be traced back to ancient Greece and the philosophical traditions of Aristotle and the early natural philosophers. The word empirical is derived from the Greek word empiria, which means experience or trial. In ancient Greek philosophy, empirical knowledge was contrasted with theoretical or speculative knowledge, emphasizing the importance of direct observation and sensory experience in understanding the natural world. As we understand it today, the scientific method emerged during the scientific revolution of the 16th and 17th centuries. Scholars like Francis Bacon and René Descartes played significant roles in shaping the methodological principles that underpin empirical science. Bacon advocated for systematic and methodical observation of nature and accumulating empirical evidence as the foundation of scientific inquiry. Descartes emphasized the importance of deductive reasoning and skepticism in acquiring knowledge. Over time, the empirical scientific method evolved and became more refined. As a result, it became synonymous with the process of formulating hypotheses, conducting experiments, collecting data, analyzing outcomes, and drawing conclusions based on empirical evidence. In addition, the scientific method minimizes bias, subjectivity, and preconceived notions, emphasizing objectivity and reproducibility. Technological advancements, statistical methods, and interdisciplinary approaches have further shaped the empirical scientific method. It has become a cornerstone of scientific inquiry across various disciplines, enabling the systematic investigation of natural phenomena, formulating theories, and advancing knowledge. Simply stated, the empirical scientific method emphasizes direct observation, experience, and evidence-based reasoning. Proper application of the method highlights the importance of empirical data as a reliable foundation for understanding and explaining the natural world.
Next, this investigation briefly explores 8 different types of research. 1. Original research. Original research refers to the systematic investigation or study conducted by a researcher or a group of researchers to contribute new knowledge, insights, or understanding to a particular field of study. It involves generating novel data, analysis, or interpretations that have not been documented or published. Original research typically involves formulating a research question or hypothesis, designing and implementing a study or experiment, collecting and analyzing data, and drawing conclusions based on the findings. The aim is to expand the existing body of knowledge, challenge existing theories, or address gaps in understanding within a specific domain. In original research, researchers are expected to use rigorous and transparent methodologies, adhere to ethical considerations, and employ appropriate data analysis techniques to ensure the reliability and validity of their findings. The research process should be documented, allowing other researchers to replicate or build upon the study in the future. Original research can take various forms, including laboratory experiments, field studies, surveys, case studies, theoretical modeling, or data analysis. Moreover, it can be conducted in diverse disciplines, such as natural sciences, social sciences, humanities, engineering, and medicine. The significance of original research lies in its potential to advance knowledge, inform decision-making, and contribute to developing theories, policies, or practical applications. It forms the foundation for scholarly discourse, peer-reviewed publications, and the progress of academic disciplines. It is worth noting that while original research aims to generate new knowledge, it is built upon the existing body of knowledge and often incorporates a review of relevant literature to contextualize the research question and findings within the broader academic landscape.
2. Scientific research. Scientific research can be defined as a systematic and organized process of inquiry aimed at generating new knowledge, understanding, or insights about the natural world. It involves using rigorous methods, logical reasoning, and empirical evidence to investigate phenomena, test hypotheses, and expand the existing body of scientific knowledge. At its core, scientific research is guided by a spirit of curiosity, objectivity, and the pursuit of truth. In addition, it is characterized by applying scientific methods, which include formulating research questions, developing testable hypotheses, designing appropriate experiments or studies, collecting and analyzing data, and drawing conclusions based on the findings. The scientific research process typically starts with identifying a research problem or gap in knowledge. This leads to formulating research questions or hypotheses that guide the investigation. Next, researchers review existing literature to understand the current state of knowledge, identify gaps or controversies, and develop a conceptual framework for their study. Next, researchers design and implement experiments, observational studies, surveys, or other data collection methods to gather relevant data. Careful attention is given to controlling variables, ensuring the reliability and validity of measurements, and maintaining ethical considerations in working with human or animal subjects. Data analysis is a crucial step in scientific research. Statistical techniques, qualitative analysis, or other appropriate methods are used to analyze the collected data and draw meaningful conclusions. The results are interpreted and discussed in the context of existing knowledge and may lead to the formulation of new theories, models, or practical applications. Scientific research findings are typically communicated through various channels, including peer-reviewed journals, conferences, and presentations. This allows other researchers to evaluate, replicate, or build upon the work, fostering a collaborative and cumulative knowledge development process. Several key principles characterize scientific research. It aims to be objective, free from bias or personal beliefs, and conducted with a commitment to honesty, integrity, and transparency. It emphasizes the importance of empirical evidence, repeatability, and verification, ensuring that results are reliable and can withstand scrutiny. Furthermore, scientific research is a self-correcting process. Through peer review, replication, and ongoing scientific discourse, errors or limitations in previous studies can be identified and corrected, leading to the refinement and advancement of knowledge over time. Scientific research is not limited to any specific discipline but spans natural sciences, social sciences, engineering, medicine, and other fields. As a result, it plays a vital role in understanding the world, solving practical problems, informing policy decisions, and driving societal innovation and progress. In conclusion, scientific research is a systematic, evidence-based inquiry process that aims to expand knowledge, uncover truths, and enhance our understanding of the natural world. Rigorous methodologies, objectivity, and the pursuit of truth characterize it. The accumulation and refinement of scientific knowledge form the foundation for scientific progress and the betterment of society.
3. Research in the humanities. Research in the humanities can be defined as a scholarly and systematic investigation that focuses on understanding various aspects of human culture, behavior, history, language, arts, literature, and philosophy. It involves critical analysis, interpretation, and synthesis of existing knowledge and sources to generate new insights, interpretations, or theories in the humanistic disciplines. Unlike scientific research, which primarily relies on empirical evidence and quantitative data, research in the humanities often centers around qualitative methods, textual analysis, interpretation, and the exploration of complex human experiences and meanings. Humanities research typically begins with identifying a research question or problem within the specific field. This could involve examining literary texts, historical documents, artistic works, philosophical ideas, cultural artifacts, or other primary sources. Researchers may also engage with secondary sources, such as scholarly articles and books, to understand the existing scholarship and debates in the field comprehensively. The research process in the humanities involves close reading, critical analysis, and interpretation of the selected sources. Researchers may employ various theoretical frameworks, conceptual models, or philosophical approaches to interpret and contextualize the materials under investigation. They may also draw upon interdisciplinary perspectives to enrich their analysis and offer new insights. Humanities research often involves a deep engagement with primary sources, such as ancient manuscripts, archival records, artworks, or cultural artifacts. Researchers may employ historical, linguistic, or hermeneutic methods to uncover hidden meanings, explore cultural contexts, or trace the evolution of ideas and practices over time. In addition to textual analysis, humanities research may incorporate qualitative methods such as interviews, ethnographic fieldwork, or participant observation to understand human experiences, cultural practices, or social phenomena. These methods help researchers gain first-hand insights into the lived experiences of individuals or communities, providing valuable data for analysis and interpretation. The outcomes of humanities research are often presented through scholarly publications, academic conferences, exhibitions, artistic performances, or public lectures. These platforms allow researchers to share their findings, interpretations, and theories with peers, engage in scholarly dialogue, and contribute to the broader intellectual discourse within their field. Research in the humanities is characterized by its multidisciplinary nature, diverse methodologies, and the exploration of the complex and nuanced aspects of human life. It seeks to illuminate the human condition, challenge conventional wisdom, foster cultural understanding, and contribute to developing theories, critical perspectives, and a deeper appreciation of human culture, values, and creativity. Research in the humanities involves a scholarly exploration of various aspects of human culture, behavior, history, language, arts, literature, and philosophy. It relies on qualitative methods, close reading, critical analysis, and primary and secondary sources interpretation to generate new insights and understandings. Humanities research enriches our understanding of human experiences, values, and creativity, contributing to the broader intellectual discourse and cultural knowledge.
4. Artistic research. Artistic research can be defined as an innovative and exploratory approach to knowledge creation that integrates artistic practice and academic inquiry. It is a form of research that seeks to generate new insights, understanding, and expressions through artistic exploration, experimentation, and reflection. At its core, artistic research combines the creative processes of artistic practice with the critical methodologies and intellectual rigor of academic research. It blurs the boundaries between art making and knowledge production, emphasizing the reciprocal relationship between theory and practice. Artistic research embraces various disciplines and artistic practices, including visual arts, performing arts, music, design, literature, and multimedia. It recognizes that artistic practices have the potential to offer unique modes of inquiry and generate knowledge that is distinct from traditional academic research. In artistic research, artists engage in a cyclical process that involves the formulation of research questions, the creation and execution of artistic projects, and the critical reflection and analysis of the outcomes. Artists often draw upon theoretical frameworks, philosophical concepts, or interdisciplinary perspectives to inform and contextualize their creative exploration. The outcomes of artistic research can take various forms, such as exhibitions, performances, installations, writings, recordings, or interactive experiences. These artistic outputs serve as both the culmination of the research process and the means of sharing the findings with audiences, scholars, and the wider community. One of the distinguishing features of artistic research is its emphasis on embodied knowledge and experiential understanding. Artists use their creative practice as a mode of inquiry, exploring and communicating ideas, emotions, and sensory experiences that cannot be fully captured through traditional scholarly discourse. Artistic research often challenges conventional norms, pushing the boundaries of artistic disciplines and expanding the possibilities of what art can be. It encourages experimentation, risk-taking, and the exploration of new artistic languages, techniques, and concepts. The significance of artistic research lies in its potential to contribute to both the artistic field and broader knowledge domains. It can generate new aesthetic perspectives, challenge existing artistic conventions, inform cultural debates, and stimulate interdisciplinary collaborations. Artistic research is increasingly recognized and supported within academic institutions, where dedicated programs, research centers, and publications are emerging to foster and showcase this unique mode of inquiry. In addition, it promotes dialogue and collaboration between artists, scholars, and diverse communities, fostering a rich exchange of ideas and perspectives. Determining the exact percentage of artistic research in relation to all research is challenging due to the lack of a universally accepted methodology for quantifying and categorizing research outputs. Additionally, the inclusion of artistic research within research evaluations and assessments varies across different institutions, countries, and disciplines. Artistic research is a relatively new and evolving field, and its recognition and integration within traditional research frameworks have been growing in recent years. However, it is still not as widely established or quantified as other forms of research, such as scientific or social science research. In some countries and academic institutions, artistic research is considered a legitimate and distinct form of research, and dedicated funding programs, research centers, and doctoral programs have been established to support and promote it. As a result, artistic research may be more explicitly recognized and accounted for in these contexts in research evaluations. In other cases, artistic research may be encompassed within broader research assessments that primarily focus on traditional academic disciplines and scientific research outputs. In such instances, the percentage of artistic research within the overall research output will likely be smaller. It is important to note that research output is diverse and multifaceted, encompassing various disciplines, methodologies, and outcomes. The distribution of research outputs varies across fields and depends on factors such as academic traditions, funding priorities, and disciplinary norms. While it is difficult to provide an exact percentage, it is safe to say that artistic research represents a significant and growing component of the overall research landscape. Its inclusion and recognition within research evaluations, funding schemes, and academic institutions continue to evolve, contributing to a more inclusive and diverse understanding of research. As the field of artistic research continues to develop and gain prominence, there may be efforts to establish more straightforward metrics and methods for assessing and quantifying its impact and prevalence within the broader research landscape. Artistic research has been applied in various contexts and disciplines, demonstrating its versatility and ability to contribute to multiple fields of study. Here are some instances where artistic research has been applied. A. Visual arts. Artists use research-based practices to explore new artistic concepts, experiment with materials and techniques, and challenge established artistic conventions. They may investigate historical events, cultural phenomena, or social issues through their artistic creations. B. Performing arts. Performers and choreographers employ artistic research to develop new forms of expression, innovative performance techniques, and interdisciplinary collaborations. They may investigate the relationship between body and space, explore new modes of storytelling, or experiment with audience engagement. C. Music. Musicians and composers utilize artistic research to explore novel soundscapes, develop new musical compositions, and investigate historical or cultural musical traditions. They may delve into ethnomusicological studies, experiment with digital technologies, or explore alternative music notations. D. Design. Designers often engage in artistic research to inform their design processes, investigate user experiences, and develop innovative solutions. They may conduct user-centered studies, experiment with materials and prototypes, or explore the design's social and cultural dimensions. E. Literature and creative writing. Writers and poets integrate artistic research in their literary works, drawing upon historical research, personal experiences, or cultural studies to create thought-provoking narratives, imaginative stories, and evocative poems. F. Film and media. Filmmakers and media artists employ artistic research to explore cinematic techniques, experiment with visual storytelling, and address social or political issues. They may incorporate documentary approaches, experimental narratives, or multimedia installations into their works. G. Dance and movement studies. Choreographers and dancers engage in artistic research to investigate the body in motion, explore new movement vocabularies, and delve into embodied practices. They may collaborate with scientists, psychologists, or anthropologists to examine the intersections of movement and cognition. H. Theater and performance studies. Theater practitioners and performance artists employ artistic research to develop innovative performance methodologies, experiment with new forms of audience engagement, and explore theatrical expression's cultural and social aspects. I. Architecture. Architects often engage in artistic research to explore innovative design concepts, experiment with sustainable materials, and investigate the social, cultural, and environmental impacts of architectural interventions. J. Interdisciplinary projects. Many artistic research endeavors transcend disciplinary boundaries and involve collaborations between artists, scientists, scholars, and practitioners from different fields. These projects aim to foster cross-pollination of ideas, generate new perspectives, and address complex societal challenges. These are just a few examples of how artistic research has been applied across various disciplines. The interdisciplinary nature of artistic research allows for its application in diverse contexts, fostering creativity and critical thinking and generating new knowledge at the intersection of art, culture, and academia. Hough's research team found artistic research can be summarized as a dynamic and interdisciplinary approach to knowledge creation that merges artistic practice with scholarly inquiry. It offers a distinct way of exploring, understanding, and expressing ideas and experiences. By integrating creativity, critical reflection, and intellectual rigor, artistic research contributes to developing both the artistic field and broader areas of knowledge, enriching our understanding of the world and our place within it.
5. Historical research. Historical research can be defined as a systematic and critical investigation of past events, people, societies, and ideas using a range of primary and secondary sources. It aims to understand and interpret the complexities of the past, shedding light on historical phenomena, contexts, and developments. Historical research involves rigorous analysis, interpretation, and synthesis of available evidence to construct narratives, develop theories, and contribute to our understanding of human history. Historical research begins with formulating a research question or problem based on a particular period, event, person, or theme. Researchers then delve into the vast array of primary sources, such as archival documents, diaries, letters, photographs, maps, and artifacts, to gather evidence from the time under investigation. They also consult secondary sources, including scholarly works, books, and articles, to gain insights from the existing historiography and engage with the scholarly debates in the field. Analyzing and interpreting historical sources involve critical reading, contextualization, and corroboration of evidence. Researchers critically evaluate sources' reliability, bias, and limitations, considering the author's perspective, intended audience, and historical context. Finally, they aim to construct a coherent and well-supported narrative or argument based on the available evidence, drawing on relevant theories, frameworks, or methodologies. Historical research often requires interdisciplinary approaches, as it may involve theories and insights from other scientific fields, such as anthropology, sociology, archaeology, economics, and political science, just to name a few. In addition, researchers may incorporate theoretical frameworks, quantitative analysis, or comparative methods to deepen their understanding of historical phenomena and to develop broader interpretations. The outcomes of historical research are typically presented in the form of scholarly publications, such as books, journal articles, or conference papers. These works contribute to the ongoing discourse within the historical field, adding new perspectives, challenging existing interpretations, and expanding our understanding of the past. Historical research is essential for various reasons. First, it helps us grasp the intricacies of human experiences, cultural developments, and societal transformations over time. It enables us to learn from the past, offering insights into the origins of current phenomena, patterns of human behavior, and the consequences of historical events. Second, historical research also fosters critical thinking skills, requiring evaluating and interpreting complex and sometimes conflicting sources. Third, it is important to note that historical research is an ongoing and evolving process. As new evidence emerges, interpretations may be revised, and further research questions may arise. Fourth, it would surprise some, but a review of history supports that it is characterized as being dynamic in nature, with scholars continually reassessing the past in light of new perspectives, methodologies, and discoveries. Given these characteristics, it can be argued that historical research is a systematic and critical investigation of the past which aims to increase understanding and our ability to interpret past phenomena by analyzing and synthesizing the information, data collected, and by identification of recurring themes and patterns that enable investigators to perhaps predict the likelihood of future events and outcomes. Therefore, we could summarize this type of research as involving the formulation of critical research questions, the gathering and evaluation of evidence, and constructing narratives or arguments as a means of contributing to a broader understanding of human history and future events. By uncovering and analyzing the complexities of the past, historical research provides valuable insights into the foundations of the present, and provides patterns and inferences that greatly assist in increasing our understanding of global phenomena and events.
6. Documentary research. Documentary research refers to a methodological approach involving systematically analyzing and interpreting existing documents and records to answer research questions or gain insights into a particular topic. It is a valuable research method used in various disciplines, including social sciences, humanities, and other scientific fields. Here's a comprehensive explanation of documentary research. Documentary research relies on examining written, visual, or audio materials created earlier and has enduring value as evidence. These materials can include historical documents, government records, letters, diaries, photographs, newspapers, books, films, audio recordings, and more. The researcher carefully reviews and analyzes these sources to extract relevant information and draw meaningful conclusions. Documentary research offers several advantages. It provides access to a wide range of primary and secondary sources that may contain rich and unique data. These sources can give first-hand accounts, historical context, social perspectives, and cultural insights that might not be available through other research methods. Documentary research allows researchers to examine long periods, as it can involve the analysis of materials spanning centuries or even millennia. To conduct documentary research, the researcher follows a systematic process. It begins with formulating research questions and establishing clear objectives. This helps to focus the investigation and identify the types of documents and sources that will be relevant. This process includes a researcher's efforts to locate and gather relevant documents through physical archives, libraries, or digital repositories. At the time this is occurring, researchers check to ensure the selected material's authenticity, reliability, and accuracy are thoroughly vetted, validated, and assured. Document collection and thorough examination includes careful reading, rereading, coding, categorizing, recategorizing, and organizing and reorganizing the information and data that is extracted from the sources. During this process, the researchers use various analytical tools and techniques, such as content analysis, discourse analysis, or thematic coding, the extraction of key concepts, words, themes, patterns, trends, and recurring patterns from the collected materials. Once these activities are completed, researchers move to a process or stage that involves analyzing, interpreting, and extracting inferences that may lead to them supporting or refuting focused hypotheses, critical statements, conclusions, or theories. Documentary research can be used in many different ways depending on the nature of the desired research goals. For example, it can be used as a standalone method to explore a particular historical event, social phenomenon, or cultural aspect. Alternatively, it can complement other research methods by providing historical context, supporting or challenging findings, or offering a broader understanding of the topic under investigation. While documentary research has numerous strengths, it is not without limitations. One challenge is the potential for bias or inaccuracies to concur within the documents themselves. Documents may reflect an author's perspective, beliefs, or intentions, therefore, critical by the investigating researchers must take place. Researcher analysis must account for potential biases and limitations. Over the history of Dr. Huff and Dr. Clayton's experiences in conducting research for various private and governmental agencies or departments, they have discovered many types of bias and outright misinformation of historical events. Both Huff and Clayton would argue most historians have had similar experiences in conducting research into events like the U.S. Civil War. For example, Huff and Clayton share the experiences of investigating specific events, reports, facts, and the outcomes of troop and commander engagements that occurred and have been well documented by both the Union and Confederate armies of the United States. In many cases, while conducting this type of research, Huff and Clayton observed the documents and reported events, facts, and outcomes of many of the battles reported in historical archives that tell completely different stories or portrayals of events. As Dr. Huff puts it, while researching a particular battle that occurred towards the end of the U.S. Civil War, it was extremely difficult to determine what the true facts and details of either of the two sides' reporting of the events were true. As such, Huff was forced to rely on several accounts pertaining to a particular event in order to best establish the facts that supported the actual outcome of the engagement between the two sides. What this experience proved to Dr. Huff was that the old saying, "Those who write the histories of such events, are the victors of such engagements." They are the ones that get to recount such engagement in ways that best reflect or glorify themselves, their special interests, and supported causes. Unfortunately, the victors in most all cases write and record such histories of events in ways that shape a reporting with built-in bias that best serves them. This practice continues today, which includes history revisionists that rewrite or create new versions of historical events that favor changes in ideological beliefs for political, social, and cultural conveniences. Another limitation to conducting this type of research involves the availability and accessibility of documents. These can represent significant constraints, as some valuable materials may be restricted, damaged, or lost over time. Given all of this, documentary research is valuable in that it systematically structures the information, data, and associated event timing and sequences in such a way that the information can be analyzed to gain insights and inferences that can contribute to additional knowledge in various other disciplines. Therefore, It can be argued that by carefully examining and interpreting historical records, texts, and other sources, researchers can uncover valuable information, gain historical context, and deepen their understanding of specific topics and the possibility of recurring events. Despite its limitations, documentary research remains a crucial tool in academic inquiry, offering a window into the past and serving as a foundation for further research and scholarship.
7. Non-empirical research. Considering this investigation is focused on empirical versus non-empirical research, Dr. Huff and his research team believed this study should provide information about this alternative research type. As such, non-empirical analysis refers to a methodological approach in which knowledge is generated without direct reliance on empirical evidence or data obtained through systematic observation or experimentation. Instead, it relies on theoretical or conceptual frameworks, qualitative analysis, or existing literature to develop new insights, theories, or interpretations. This type of research is commonly found in disciplines such as philosophy, social sciences, humanities, and theoretical fields where empirical data collection may not be feasible or appropriate. Here is a comprehensive explanation of non-empirical research. Non-empirical research is often characterized by its reliance on theoretical or conceptual frameworks as a basis for inquiry. Researchers critically analyze and synthesize existing knowledge, ideas, and concepts to propose new theories, models, or frameworks. This approach involves a deep understanding of the existing literature, theories, and debates within a specific field and often requires high expertise and critical thinking. One prominent type of non-empirical research is theoretical research, which involves developing or refining theories and concepts. Theoretical research is focused on exploring and explaining phenomena, developing hypotheses, and constructing logical arguments based on existing knowledge. In addition, it often involves deductive reasoning, where researchers derive specific conclusions from general principles or theories. Another form of non-empirical research is qualitative research, which relies on non-numerical data such as interviews, observations, or textual analysis. While qualitative research involves gathering empirical data, it is considered non-empirical because it focuses on subjective experiences, interpretations, and meanings rather than statistical generalizations or objective measurements. Qualitative research aims to understand complex phenomena, social interactions, cultural practices, or individual experiences holistically and context-dependently. Non-empirical research can also include philosophical research, where researchers engage in critical analysis and conceptual exploration of fundamental questions and ideas. Philosophical research often involves logical reasoning, conceptual analysis, and examining ethical, metaphysical, or epistemological questions. In addition, it may include exploring the works of past philosophers, engaging in thought experiments, or proposing novel philosophical arguments. In addition, non-empirical research encompasses literature reviews, theoretical frameworks, meta-analysis, and historical analysis. Literature reviews involve systematically examining and synthesizing existing literature on a particular topic to identify patterns, trends, or gaps in knowledge. Theoretical frameworks provide a conceptual structure or model that guides research in a specific area. Meta-analyses involve statistical analyses of existing empirical studies to derive broader conclusions or identify patterns across multiple studies. Finally, historical investigations examine historical records, texts, or artifacts to understand past events, contexts, or social phenomena. Non-empirical research offers several benefits. It allows researchers to explore complex or abstract concepts, propose new theoretical perspectives, or challenge existing paradigms. It provides opportunities for critical thinking, creativity, and innovation by offering alternative explanations or interpretations. Non-empirical research can also contribute to developing theoretical foundations, conceptual frameworks, or theoretical models that guide further empirical research. Finally, it fosters theoretical debates, stimulates intellectual discussions, and contributes to advancing knowledge in various disciplines. However, Non-empirical research is not without limitations. It is often context-dependent and may lack generalizability, as it relies on specific theoretical or conceptual frameworks that may not be universally applicable. Subjective biases, personal perspectives, or the interpretation of existing knowledge can influence non-empirical research. It requires rigorous engagement with the existing literature to ensure that research builds upon and contributes to the current knowledge base. Additionally, the validity and reliability of non-empirical research rely heavily on the rigor and coherence of the arguments, logical consistency, and the quality of the supporting evidence. After review, it can be argued that non-empirical research is a valuable methodological approach that generates knowledge through theoretical analysis, qualitative exploration, or critical examination of existing literature and/or emerging phenomena. Moreover, it offers unique insights, theoretical advancements, and conceptual frameworks complementing empirical research. Therefore, it can be argued that non-empirical research plays a vital role in fields where direct empirical observation may be challenging or inappropriate, fostering intellectual debates and contributing to the theoretical foundations of various disciplines. In addition, Dr. Huff argues this type of investigative research would likely be appropriately applied to the emerging phenomenon of artificial intelligence, as in the specific case of rapidly advancing generative superintelligence such as the chatbot used in this study and the advancement of AGI. Given this, however, the use or application of non-empirical research should make every effort to engage in a rigorous and critical approach to an investigation, findings, and outcome determinations to ensure the highest degree of coherence, validity, and relevance of such research findings and conclusions as valid contributions to the existing body of knowledge.
8. Metadata research. Metadata research, also known as meta-research or research on research, is a systematic investigation and analysis of existing research studies, methodologies, and data to gain insights into the characteristics, trends, bias, or quality of the research itself. It involves collecting, evaluating, and synthesis of data from multiple studies to draw broader conclusions, identify patterns, or evaluate the overall state of knowledge within a specific field. Metadata research serves several essential purposes. It helps researchers understand the landscape of a particular field by synthesizing and summarizing existing knowledge. This can be particularly valuable in rapidly evolving disciplines where the sheer research volume can make it challenging to keep up with the latest findings. Metadata research allows researchers to gain a comprehensive overview of the current state of knowledge, identify research gaps, and guide future research directions. One key aspect of metadata research is the analysis of research methodologies and study designs employed in previous research. This includes examining sample sizes, data collection methods, statistical analyses, and other relevant methodological factors. By evaluating the strengths and limitations of different approaches, researchers can identify best practices, refine methodologies, and enhance the quality of future studies. Metadata research can help identify biases or limitations in research methods and suggest strategies to mitigate them. Another essential aspect of metadata research is the identification of trends or patterns within the existing body of research. For example, researchers can identify common themes, recurring findings, or conflicting results by analyzing multiple studies. This analysis can provide insights into the consistency and robustness of research outcomes, helping to establish the reliability of specific findings or highlighting areas of disagreement or uncertainty. Moreover, metadata research can uncover publication bias, such as the tendency to publish positive results over negative or null findings, thereby informing discussions on the reproducibility and validity of the research. Metadata research also plays a critical role in evidence synthesis and systematic reviews. Researchers can quantitatively or qualitatively analyze the collective evidence on a particular topic by aggregating data from multiple studies. This evidence synthesis allows for more robust conclusions, improved generalizability, and the identification of overarching patterns or trends. Systematic reviews and meta-analysis are typical applications of metadata research, providing valuable summaries and quantitative estimates of effect sizes across multiple studies. D. Furthermore, metadata research can contribute to identifying research gaps and prioritizing future research directions. By analyzing existing literature, researchers can identify areas that have received limited attention or require further investigation. This helps to guide researchers in the selection of research topics, the formulation of research questions, and the design of future studies. Metadata research can also inform policy decisions and guide resource allocation by identifying research areas with significant practical implications or societal impact. To conduct metadata research, a systematic and transparent approach is necessary. This involves defining straightforward research questions or objectives, identifying relevant databases or sources of information, and implementing rigorous inclusion and exclusion criteria for selecting studies. In addition, data extraction and synthesis methodologies must be standardized to ensure consistency and reliability. For example, statistical techniques like meta-analysis can be employed to analyze data from multiple studies quantitatively. In contrast, qualitative methods like thematic analysis can identify common themes or patterns across qualitative studies. Metadata research has several benefits, but it also has some limitations. One potential limitation is the availability and quality of the underlying data. Researchers must ensure that the studies included in their analysis meet certain quality and relevance criteria. Moreover, metadata research relies on published studies, which may be subject to publication biases or selective reporting. Efforts must include unpublished studies or gray literature to minimize potential bias. It can therefore be argued that metadata research is a valuable methodological approach that involves the systematic analysis and synthesis of existing research studies, methodologies, and data. It provides a comprehensive overview of the current state of knowledge within a specific field, identifies research gaps, evaluates methodological approaches, and offers insights into research trends, patterns, and bias. Moreover, metadata research plays a crucial role in evidence synthesis, framing the direction of future research, and facilitating evidence-based decision-making. This is accomplished by critically examining and synthesizing existing research. Metadata research contributes to advancing knowledge and improving research practices.
Research methods. 1. Qualitative. Qualitative research is a methodological approach that aims to understand and interpret complex social phenomena by exploring individuals' or groups' subjective experiences, meanings, and perspectives. Unlike quantitative research focusing on numerical data and statistical analysis, qualitative research emphasizes in-depth understanding, contextuality, and the richness of human experiences. It employs various data collection methods, such as interviews, observations, and textual analysis, to gather and analyze non-numerical data. Here is a comprehensive explanation of the qualitative research process and its usefulness. The qualitative research process typically involves several key steps. A. The first step is defining the research question or objective, which guides the entire study. Qualitative research questions are often open-ended and exploratory, aiming to delve into the nuances and complexities of a phenomenon rather than test specific hypotheses. For example, researchers may focus on understanding lived experiences, exploring social interactions, or investigating cultural practices. B. The next step is selecting an appropriate research design. Qualitative research designs include ethnography, grounded theory, phenomenology, narrative inquiry, or case study. Each design has its own focus and methodological techniques, but they all share a commitment to in-depth data exploration and interpretation. C. Data collection is a critical phase in qualitative research. Researchers employ various methods to gather relevant data. Interviews, both individual and group, allow researchers to engage in conversations with participants, probing their experiences, beliefs, and perceptions. Observations involve systematically observing and documenting behaviors, interactions, or phenomena in natural settings. Textual analysis involves analyzing written or visual materials, such as documents, diaries, photographs, or videos, to derive insights and meanings. Once the data is collected, the next step is data analysis. D. Qualitative data analysis involves organizing, coding, and interpreting the data to identify patterns, themes, and meanings. Researchers use thematic, content, or narrative analysis techniques to identify recurrent ideas, concepts, or narratives within the data. The analysis process requires immersion in the data, meticulous reading and rereading, and constant comparison to refine emerging themes or categories. Researchers maintain a reflexive stance throughout the research process, acknowledging their biases and assumptions. Reflexivity involves reflecting on the researcher's positionality, values, and potential influence on the research process and findings. It ensures transparency and rigor in qualitative research by acknowledging and addressing potential sources of bias or subjectivity. The usefulness of qualitative research lies in its ability to provide rich and nuanced insights into social phenomena. By focusing on the subjective experiences and perspectives of individuals or groups, qualitative research captures the depth, complexity, and diversity of human experiences. It allows researchers to explore contexts, meanings, and social dynamics that quantitative analysis may overlook. One of the key strengths of qualitative research is its flexibility and adaptability. It allows researchers to explore unexpected or emerging phenomena, adapting the research process to capture new insights. Qualitative research also provides a more holistic understanding of a phenomenon by considering the broader socio-cultural context in which it occurs. It enables researchers to uncover the intricacies of social interactions, power dynamics, and cultural influences that shape individuals' experiences and behaviors. Furthermore, qualitative research contributes to theory building and hypothesis generation. By examining the rich and detailed data, researchers can develop conceptual frameworks, theoretical models, or explanatory theories that capture the complexity of social phenomena. These theories can guide further research or provide a basis for future quantitative studies. Qualitative research is also valuable in applied settings. It can support the development and evaluation of interventions, policies, or programs by providing insights into stakeholders' needs, preferences, and experiences. In addition, qualitative research can improve healthcare services, educational practices, organizational strategies, or community development initiatives by capturing the voices and perspectives of those directly impacted. Another important aspect of qualitative research is its potential for social change and empowerment. Qualitative research can challenge existing power structures, uncover social injustices, and advocate for policy reforms by giving voice to marginalized or underrepresented groups. In addition, it can provide a platform for individuals and communities to share their experiences and influence decision-making processes. However, it is essential to note that qualitative research also has some limitations. For example, qualitative studies' small sample sizes and context-specific nature often serve to limit generalizability. Qualitative research aims to provide in-depth understanding rather than statistical representation. Therefore, when interpreting and applying qualitative research findings, it is essential to consider the specific context and population under study. Qualitative research is valuable for exploring and understanding complex social phenomena without the quantitative research method or process. Its focus on subjective experiences, meanings, and perspectives allows researchers to uncover rich and contextual insights that quantitative research may not capture. Overall, the qualitative research process, from defining research questions to data collection and analysis, provides a robust framework for generating in-depth knowledge and theory building that supports the development of meaningful real-world practices.
2. Quantitative. Quantitative research is a systematic and structured approach to gathering and analyzing numerical data to conclude, make predictions, or test hypotheses. It involves using statistical methods to analyze data and uncover patterns, relationships, or trends. Here is a comprehensive explanation of the quantitative research process and its usefulness. The quantitative research process typically follows a series of steps. The first step is defining the research question or objective. Quantitative research questions are typically focused and specific, aiming to test relationships or explore cause and effect phenomena. For example, researchers may seek to determine the prevalence of a particular outcome, examine the association between variables, or compare groups. The next step is designing the research study. This involves selecting an appropriate research design, such as experimental, quasi-experimental, correlational, or survey, depending on the research question and practical constraints. Researchers must also consider the sampling strategy, sample size, and data collection instruments to ensure the study is reliable and representative. Data collection in quantitative research involves gathering numerical data from participants or existing sources. Researchers use structured questionnaires, surveys, interviews, or direct observations to collect data. It is essential to ensure that data collection instruments are valid and reliable and that data is collected consistently across participants or time points to ensure accuracy and comparability. Once the data is collected, the next step is data analysis. This involves organizing, cleaning, and analyzing the data using statistical techniques. First, descriptive statistics summarize and describe the characteristics of the data, such as means, standard deviations, or frequencies. Next, inferential statistics are used to make inferences or test hypotheses about population parameters based on sample data. Standard techniques include t-tests, ANOVA, regression analysis, or chi-square tests, depending on the nature of the data and research question. The analysis of quantitative data provides researchers with objective and measurable results. It allows them to quantify relationships between variables, identify significant differences or associations, and draw statistical inferences. In addition, the statistical analysis provides a basis for making generalizations about a population based on the sample data, increasing the external validity of the findings. The usefulness of quantitative research lies in its ability to provide precise and objective information about phenomena. It allows researchers to measure and quantify variables, establish causal relationships, and make predictions. Quantitative research is particularly valuable in fields where numerical data is essential, such as engineering, medicine, psychology, economics, or social sciences. Quantitative research also enables researchers to identify patterns or trends at a larger scale. Large-scale surveys or studies can provide representative data on a population, allowing researchers to draw conclusions that are generalizable to a broader context. This is especially important in policymaking or decision-making processes requiring evidence-based information. Moreover, quantitative research facilitates the comparison of groups or conditions. By employing statistical tests, researchers can determine whether there are significant differences between groups, treatments, or interventions. This information is crucial for evaluating the effectiveness of interventions or identifying factors that contribute to specific outcomes. Quantitative research plays a significant role in hypothesis testing and theory development. By collecting and analyzing empirical data, researchers can test hypotheses, validate or refute theories, and contribute to the development of scientific knowledge. Likewise, using statistical models and analysis allows researchers to provide empirical evidence to support or reject theoretical propositions. Furthermore, quantitative research enables researchers to conduct predictive analyses. Researchers can develop models that predict future outcomes or behavior by identifying relationships and patterns in data. This can be valuable in engineering, finance, marketing, or epidemiology, where predictive models are used for decision-making and planning. Quantitative research also allows for the replication and verification of findings. Using standardized data collection procedures and statistical analysis techniques ensures the research process is transparent and replicable. Replication is a cornerstone of scientific inquiry, strengthening the validity and reliability of research findings. It can be stated then that quantitative research is a systematic and objective approach to gathering, analyzing, and interpreting numerical data. Its emphasis on measurement, statistical analysis, and generalizability provides valuable insights into relationships, patterns, and trends. The quantitative research process, from defining research questions to data collection and analysis, allows researchers to test hypotheses, make predictions, and contribute to the development of scientific knowledge.
3. Mixed method, mixed-use method. The mixed methods research process is a comprehensive and systematic approach combining qualitative and quantitative methods to understand complex research questions better. It involves collecting, analyzing, and integrating numerical and non-numerical data to provide a more comprehensive view of the phenomenon under investigation. Here is a complete explanation of the mixed methods research process and its usefulness. 1. Research design. The mixed methods research process begins with selecting an appropriate research design. Next, researchers must determine the most suitable combination of qualitative and quantitative methods to address the research question or objective. Different mixed methods designs exist, such as concurrent, sequential, or transformative designs, depending on the specific research aims and the desired integration of data. 2. Data collection. The next step involves collecting data using both qualitative and quantitative methods. Qualitative data collection methods, such as interviews, focus groups, or observations, capture rich, in-depth insights into participants' experiences, perspectives, and behaviors. Quantitative data collection methods, such as surveys, questionnaires, or experiments, gather numerical data that can be analyzed statistically. The choice of methods depends on the research question, the nature of the phenomenon, and the available resources. 3. Data analysis. After data collection, researchers analyze the qualitative and quantitative data separately. Qualitative data analysis involves coding, categorizing, and identifying themes or patterns within the data. Techniques such as thematic, content, or narrative analysis are commonly used. Quantitative data analysis involves descriptive statistics, inferential statistics, or other statistical techniques to examine relationships, associations, or differences between variables. The two sets of data are analyzed independently but in a complementary manner. 4. Integration. Integrating qualitative and quantitative findings is critical in the mixed methods research process. Researchers seek to combine the two types of data to gain a comprehensive understanding of the research question. This integration can occur at different stages of the research process, such as during data analysis, interpretation, or reporting. It involves comparing and contrasting the qualitative and quantitative findings, identifying convergent or divergent patterns, and seeking to explain or reconcile discrepancies. 5. Triangulation. Triangulation is a crucial principle in mixed methods research that enhances the validity and reliability of the findings. It involves using multiple data sources, methods, or perspectives to cross-validate the results. Triangulation provides a more robust and comprehensive understanding of the research question by reducing the limitations or biases inherent in any single method or data source. 6. Theory development. Mixed methods research contributes to theory development by providing a more comprehensive and nuanced understanding of the phenomenon under investigation. The qualitative data provide rich contextual insights, while the quantitative data offer generalizable patterns or trends. Integrating these findings allows researchers to develop or refine theories, models, or frameworks that capture the complexity and multifaceted nature of the research topic. 7. Practical application. Mixed methods research has practical applications in various fields. For example, it can inform policymaking, program evaluation, or intervention development by providing comprehensive evidence that considers both qualitative experiences and quantitative outcomes. For example, mixed methods research in healthcare can inform patient-centered care by considering subjective experiences and objective health outcomes. 8. Flexibility and adaptability. One of the strengths of mixed methods research is its flexibility and adaptability to diverse research questions and contexts. As a result, researchers can tailor the design and methods to fit the specific research objectives and constraints. In addition, combining qualitative and quantitative data allows researchers to capture complex phenomena that cannot be fully understood through a single approach. 9. Enhanced validity and reliability. Integrating qualitative and quantitative data in mixed methods research enhances the validity and reliability of the findings. Using multiple data sources and methods allows researchers to triangulate the results, corroborate findings, and ensure a more comprehensive understanding of the research topic. This strengthens the credibility and trustworthiness of the research outcomes. 10. Addressing research gaps. Mixed methods research is beneficial for addressing research gaps or complex research questions that cannot be adequately answered through a single method. It allows researchers to explore the research question from multiple angles, capturing the phenomenon's breadth and depth. This comprehensive approach leads to a more holistic understanding of the research topic and advances knowledge. In summary, the mixed-use or mixed methods research process combines qualitative and quantitative methods to provide a more comprehensive and nuanced understanding of research questions. By integrating qualitative and quantitative data, researchers can gain insights into the phenomenon's subjective experiences, meanings, and context and identify patterns, trends, or relationships at a larger scale. As a result, the mixed methods research process is valuable in addressing complex research questions, theory development, informing practice, and enhancing the validity and reliability of research findings.
3. Mixed method, mixed-use method. The mixed methods research process is a comprehensive and systematic approach combining qualitative and quantitative methods to understand complex research questions better. It involves collecting, analyzing, and integrating numerical and non-numerical data to provide a more comprehensive view of the phenomenon under investigation. Here is a complete explanation of the mixed methods research process and its usefulness. 1. Research design. The mixed methods research process begins with selecting an appropriate research design. Next, researchers must determine the most suitable combination of qualitative and quantitative methods to address the research question or objective. Different mixed methods designs exist, such as concurrent, sequential, or transformative designs, depending on the specific research aims and the desired integration of data. 2. Data collection. The next step involves collecting data using both qualitative and quantitative methods. Qualitative data collection methods, such as interviews, focus groups, or observations, capture rich, in-depth insights into participants' experiences, perspectives, and behaviors. Quantitative data collection methods, such as surveys, questionnaires, or experiments, gather numerical data that can be analyzed statistically. The choice of methods depends on the research question, the nature of the phenomenon, and the available resources. 3. Data analysis. After data collection, researchers analyze the qualitative and quantitative data separately. Qualitative data analysis involves coding, categorizing, and identifying themes or patterns within the data. Techniques such as thematic, content, or narrative analysis are commonly used. Quantitative data analysis involves descriptive statistics, inferential statistics, or other statistical techniques to examine relationships, associations, or differences between variables. The two sets of data are analyzed independently but in a complementary manner. 4. Integration. Integrating qualitative and quantitative findings is critical in the mixed methods research process. Researchers seek to combine the two types of data to gain a comprehensive understanding of the research question. This integration can occur at different stages of the research process, such as during data analysis, interpretation, or reporting. It involves comparing and contrasting the qualitative and quantitative findings, identifying convergent or divergent patterns, and seeking to explain or reconcile discrepancies. 5. Triangulation. Triangulation is a crucial principle in mixed methods research that enhances the validity and reliability of the findings. It involves using multiple data sources, methods, or perspectives to cross-validate the results. Triangulation provides a more robust and comprehensive understanding of the research question by reducing the limitations or biases inherent in any single method or data source. Once again, Dr. Huff and Dr. Clayton have applied the principles of triangulation frequency in the assessment of data points or data sets as milestones to determine the validity of a critical inference or set of assumptions. In both Huff and Clayton's experience, they applied the principle of triangulation to valid positional inferences in both land and nautical navigation assessments. That said, both Huff and Clayton came to discover that this same principle could be used in identifying and verifying inferences that emerge from analyzing and cross-referencing multiple data sets as a means to test and validate a finding or determination. As such, Huff and Clayton both strongly advise the use of triangulation as a means to go to a more arduous level of validating a discovery in the data. Huff and Clayton provide another analogy between the principle of research data triangulation and its use in military and aviation sciences. In military and aviation sciences, precision and accuracy are crucial for making informed decisions and ensuring the safety and success of operations. One way to achieve this is through the use of data triangulation, which involves the convergence of multiple independent data sources, data sets, to validate and confirm a specific inference or conclusion. The use of triangulation is especially critical when attempting to significantly validate or confirm an inference or conclusion that may involve the sustainment of human life. In the case of a scenario offered by Dr. Huff, where military intelligence is trying to identify the exact location of an enemy target, it is essential that the data point and inference are substantially confirmed. In Huff's example, the use of triangulation is critical to ranging direction and distance for a weapon system. This type of application by the military cannot solely rely on a single source of information or technology, as it may be prone to errors or inaccuracies, not the least to mention the cause of incidental or collateral property damage and human deaths. Instead, they employ data triangulation by gathering data from multiple sources such as satellites, reconnaissance aircraft, ground-based sensors, and human intelligence. Dr. Huff maintains that this same level of attention to cross-validation or confirmation of a statement of finding and determination in critical research should be seriously considered in certain types of research. As in data research and critical discoveries, while doing an investigation, Huff argues that each data source provides a different perspective that contributes valuable information about the new findings or, in the case of the military, a target's location. Huff continues that by combining and cross-referencing diverse data sets, researchers and military analysts can triangulate the data and position inferences with greater confidence and accuracy while at the same time adding significant relevancy and credibility to an investigation's findings and conclusions. Huff highlights that triangulation is equally, if not of more extreme value in aviation sciences. Navigation systems rely on data triangulation to determine an aircraft's precise location data and findings. Rather than relying on a single navigation instrument, multiple systems such as GPS, inertial navigation, and ground-based beacons are used. Each system independently calculates the aircraft's position, and the results are compared and cross-checked to ensure consistency and validation. This redundancy and convergence of data sources enhance the accuracy, reliability, and credibility of the aircraft's location determination. The analogy between research data triangulation and its use in military and aviation sciences are just two examples that Dr. Huff and Dr. Clayton point to that support the principle of converging multiple independent sources of data as a means to further validate and confirm a specific inference or conclusion. Therefore, Huff and Clayton argue that by utilizing diverse data sources and cross-referencing research findings, investigators, academic, and subject matter experts can reduce the risk of errors, enhance the reliability of their conclusions, and make more informed decisions. As presented by Dr. Huff and Dr. Clayton in these examples, data triangulation serves as a robust methodology to mitigate the limitations or potential for preliminary error testing of individual and multiple data sets and information sources so as to increase the overall confidence in the accuracy and validity of the obtained determinations and predicated outcomes. 6. Theory development. Mixed methods research contributes to theory development by providing a more comprehensive and nuanced understanding of the phenomenon under investigation. The qualitative data provide rich contextual insights, while the quantitative data offer generalizable patterns or trends. Integrating these findings allows researchers to develop or refine theories, models, or frameworks that capture the complexity and multifaceted nature of the research topic. 7. Practical application. Mixed methods research has practical applications in various fields. For example, it can support policymaking, program evaluation, or intervention development by providing comprehensive evidence that considers both qualitative experiences and quantitative outcomes. For example, mixed methods research in healthcare can assist in patient-centered care by considering subjective experiences and objective health outcomes. 8. Flexibility and adaptability. One of the strengths of mixed methods research is its flexibility and adaptability to diverse research questions and contexts. As a result, researchers can tailor the design and methods to fit the specific research objectives and constraints. In addition, combining qualitative and quantitative data allows researchers to capture complex phenomena that cannot be fully understood through a single approach. 9. Enhanced validity and reliability. Integrating qualitative and quantitative data in mixed methods research enhances the validity and reliability of the findings. Using multiple data sources and methods allows researchers to triangulate the results, corroborate findings, and ensure a more comprehensive understanding of the research topic. This strengthens the credibility and trustworthiness of the research outcomes. 10. Addressing research gaps. Mixed methods research is beneficial for addressing research gaps or complex research questions that cannot be adequately answered through a single method. It allows researchers to explore the research question from multiple angles, capturing the phenomenon's breadth and depth. This comprehensive approach leads to a more holistic understanding of the research topic and advances knowledge. In summary, the mixed-use or mixed methods research process combines qualitative and quantitative methods to provide a more comprehensive and nuanced understanding of research questions. By integrating qualitative and quantitative data, researchers can gain insights into the phenomenon's subjective experiences, meanings, and context and identify patterns, trends, or relationships at a larger scale. As a result, the mixed methods research process is valuable in addressing complex research questions, theory development, informing practice, and enhancing the validity and reliability of research findings.
Chapter 2. Purpose and importance of the systemic research approach. The empirical scientific method, also known as the scientific process, plays a crucial role in acquiring knowledge about the natural world. It is a systematic approach that involves observation, data collection, experimentation, and analysis to develop and test hypotheses. The purpose and importance of the empirical scientific method can be understood from several perspectives. 1. Advancement of knowledge. The primary purpose of the empirical scientific method is to expand our understanding of the world around us. Scientists can systematically study natural phenomena by uncovering patterns, relationships, and underlying mechanisms. This knowledge contributes to accumulating a collective understanding of the universe, enabling us to explain, predict, and control various physical, biological, and social aspects. 2. Objectivity and rigor. The empirical scientific method strongly emphasizes objectivity and rigor. It strives to minimize bias and subjective interpretation by relying on empirical evidence. Scientists aim to gather reliable and reproducible data through careful observation, measurement, and experimentation. This commitment to objectivity ensures that scientific findings are independent of personal beliefs or opinions, fostering a more robust and trustworthy body of knowledge. 3. Problem solving and innovation. The empirical scientific method is a powerful tool for problem solving and driving innovation. By identifying research questions, formulating hypotheses, and conducting experiments, scientists address practical problems and seek solutions. The systematic and iterative nature of the scientific process allows for the refinement and improvement of theories, leading to discoveries and technological advancements. 4. Falsifiability and testability. One of the key principles of the empirical scientific method is falsifiability. Scientific hypotheses and theories must be formulated in a way that they can be tested and potentially proven false. This requirement ensures that scientific claims are subjected to rigorous scrutiny and can withstand empirical investigation. The ability to test and potentially refute hypotheses contributes to the self-correcting nature of science, allowing for the continual refinement and advancement of knowledge. 5. Evidence-based decision-making. The empirical scientific method provides a foundation for evidence-based decision-making in various fields. By relying on empirical evidence, policymakers, healthcare professionals, and other stakeholders can make informed choices and implement strategies supported by scientific research. This approach enhances the effectiveness and efficiency of decision-making, leading to more reliable outcomes and solutions to complex problems. 6. Reproducibility and peer review. Reproducibility and peer review are essential aspects of the empirical scientific method. Other researchers should replicate scientific findings using the same methods and data. This ensures the reliability and validity of research outcomes and guards against errors or bias. Peer review, where experts in the field evaluate scientific work, further enhances the quality and integrity of scientific research, promoting accuracy, transparency, and accountability. 7. Interdisciplinary collaboration. The empirical scientific method encourages multidisciplinary collaboration and exchanging ideas between different scientific disciplines. Researchers can leverage diverse perspectives, expertise, and methodologies to address complex scientific questions by fostering collaboration. This interdisciplinary approach leads to a more comprehensive understanding of complex systems and phenomena, providing a holistic view of the natural world. The empirical scientific method is crucial in advancing knowledge, promoting objectivity, problem-solving, innovation, and informing evidence-based decision-making. Its importance lies in its ability to provide a systematic, rigorous, and objective framework for acquiring knowledge about the natural world. The empirical method ensures scientific research's reliability, validity, and self-correcting nature by adhering to falsifiability, reproducibility, and peer review. Through the collective efforts of scientists using this method, our understanding of the universe continues to expand, leading to technological advancements, improved practices, and a deeper comprehension of our world.
Key components of the method or process. A systematic research approach is an organized and structured process to ensure rigor, objectivity, and reproducibility in investigating and acquiring knowledge. It involves the careful planning, execution, and evaluation of research activities to address specific research questions or objectives. The components of a systematic research approach include research design. A systematic approach begins with formulating a straightforward research question or objective. The researcher determines the appropriate research design, which could be experimental, observational, qualitative, or quantitative, based on the nature of the research question and available resources. Literature review. A comprehensive review of existing literature is conducted to identify current knowledge on the topic of interest. This helps situate the research within the existing body of knowledge, identify gaps, and refine research objectives. Methodology. The researcher develops a detailed method outlining the procedures, tools, and data collection and analysis techniques. The process should minimize bias, ensure validity and reliability, and align with established research standards or protocols. Data collection. Data collection involves systematically gathering relevant information or observations per the research design and methodology. This could include surveys, interviews, experiments, fieldwork, or secondary data collection. Careful attention is given to data quality, sampling techniques, and ethical considerations. Data analysis. The collected data is subjected to rigorous analysis using appropriate statistical or qualitative methods. The study aims to identify data patterns, relationships, or themes and draw meaningful conclusions or inferences based on the results. Interpretation and conclusion. The researcher interprets the findings in light of the research objectives and relevant theoretical frameworks. Conclusions are drawn, highlighting the research outcomes' implications, limitations, and significance. Documentation and reporting. A systematic approach emphasizes the importance of documenting the research process and outcomes transparently and detailed. This includes recording research protocols, data, analysis procedures, and results. In addition, research findings are communicated through academic publications, reports, or presentations, contributing to the broader dissemination of knowledge. By applying these components, the systematic research approach ensures transparency, replicability, and reliable and valid knowledge generation. In addition, it allows researchers to build upon existing knowledge, contribute to scientific progress, and promote evidence-based decision-making. Research design. Formulating a clear research question. Formulating a straightforward research question is a crucial step in the research process. It helps define the scope and direction of the study, guiding the subsequent research activities. Here are some steps to formulate a straightforward research question. 1. Identify the general topic. Start by placing a broad area of interest or a topic you want to explore. Next, consider your field of study, personal interests, or current gaps in knowledge that you would like to address. 2. Conduct a preliminary literature review. Reviewing existing literature on the topic before formulating a research question is essential. This helps you understand what has already been studied, identify gaps or unanswered questions, and refine your focus. 3. Narrow the focus. Based on the literature review, narrow the topic to a specific research area or problem. Consider the feasibility, available resources, and the research question's significance. 4. Consider the type of research. Determine the type of research you intend to conduct, such as exploratory, descriptive, explanatory, or comparative. This will help shape your research question and guide your research design. 5. Specify the variables. Identify the key factors you want to study. These are the elements that you will investigate or manipulate during your research. Clearly define the independent and dependent variables and other relevant variables that may influence the research outcomes. 6. Make it specific and focused. Refine your research question to be clear and focused. Avoid overly broad or vague questions. Instead, consider the who, what, when, where, why, and how aspects of the research problem to make your question more precise. 7. Ensure clarity and clarity. Your research question should be clear and unambiguous. Use simple and concise language to articulate your question. Avoid jargon or technical terms that may be unclear to others. 8. Align with research objectives. The research question should align with your dreams or goals. It should reflect the purpose of your study and guide the subsequent research activities. 9. Seek feedback. Share your research question with colleagues, mentors, or experts in the field. Seek their input and suggestions for improvement. Their insights can help you refine and strengthen your research question. Remember that well-formulated research questions should be specific, focused, feasible, and capable of generating meaningful results. In addition, then taken collectively, the questions should be capable of shaping or guiding the research process and ultimately focused on contributing to the existing corpus, body, of knowledge in the investigated field. Review of literature. Creating a comprehensive search. Creating a comprehensive review of existing literature involves a systematic and thorough examination of relevant scholarly articles, books, reports, and other sources to understand current knowledge on a particular topic. Here are some steps to guide you in creating a comprehensive literature review. 1. Define the scope and objectives. Clearly define the content of your literature review by specifying the research question, topic, or theme you want to explore. Next, identify your literature review's objectives or goals to guide your search and analysis. 2. Develop a search strategy. Determine the sources and databases you will use to gather relevant literature. Academic databases such as PubMed, Google Scholar, Scopus, and discipline-specific databases can be valuable resources. Use appropriate keywords and combinations to conduct a systematic search. Consider including published and unpublished sources, such as conference papers and theses. 3. Search. Use the chosen databases or sources to implement your search strategy. Carefully review the search results, and keep track of the articles or sources you find relevant. Utilize search filters and advanced search options to refine and narrow down your results. 4. Screen and select studies. Evaluate the search results based on predetermined inclusion and exclusion criteria. Read the titles and abstracts of the articles to determine their relevance to your research question. Then, select the studies that meet your criteria for further analysis. 5. Read and analyze the selected literature. Thoroughly read and critically analyze the chosen literature. Take detailed notes, and summarize key findings, methodologies, and theoretical frameworks used in each study. Identify patterns, trends, or gaps in the literature. Note any conflicting or contradictory results. 6. Organize the literature. Develop a clear and logical structure for organizing the literature review. Depending on your research question's nature, you can collect it thematically, chronologically, or by theoretical frameworks. Create headings or subheadings to categorize the literature into relevant themes or concepts. 7. Synthesize and summarize. Synthesize the findings from the selected literature. Next, identify common themes, theories, or perspectives from the studies. Finally, summarize each study's key points and arguments, highlighting their contributions to the topic. 8. Critically evaluate the literature, assess the included study's quality, limitations, and biases. Consider the study design, sample size, data collection methods, and statistical analyses employed. Identify any gaps in the literature or areas that require further research. 9. Write the literature review. Begin writing your literature review by providing an introduction that sets the context and explains the rationale for the study. Next, organize the main body of the assessment based on your chosen structure and headings. Next, provide a critical literature analysis, highlighting the key findings, debates, and gaps. Finally, conclude the literature review by summarizing the major themes and indicating how they relate to your research question. 10. Revise and edit. As the old writing saying goes, review, edit, and revise, and then review, edit, and revise again, and so on, until you ensure clarity, coherence, and accuracy are best achieved. This process includes continually editing for grammar, spelling, formatting, mathematical errors, data errors, assessments, determinations, findings, and conclusions. As a result of the diversity of talent and expertise needed to do all these things extremely professionally, it often requires the director to conduct a study to retain the services and active engagement of numerous contributors and other outside resources. Consider a comprehensive literature review needs to involve a thorough search, critical analysis, and synthesis of relevant literature to provide a complete understanding of the existing knowledge on your research topic.
Peer assistance and direct engagement. Moreover, creating a corpus of literature reviews can involve collaboration with colleagues and including their works. Seeking input and collaborating with colleagues can enhance the quality and breadth of your literature review. Here's how you can involve colleagues in the creation of a literature review. 1. Collaborative brainstorming. Engage in discussions with colleagues with expertise or knowledge in the subject area of your literature review. Brainstorm together to identify relevant sources, key concepts, and research gaps. Their insights and perspectives can help broaden your understanding and provide different viewpoints. 2. Sharing references. Request recommendations from colleagues for relevant articles, books, or other sources you may have missed in your initial search. Colleagues who have worked on related topics may be aware of valuable resources that can enrich your literature review. Likewise, please share your references with colleagues to contribute to their work. 3. Peer review. Share your draft literature review with colleagues and request their feedback. They can provide valuable insights and suggestions for improvement and identify gaps or overlooked literature. Peer review helps ensure the accuracy and comprehensiveness of your review. 4. Collaboration on sections or themes. Consider dividing the work among colleagues if working on a large-scale literature review. Assign specific areas or articles to each person, allowing them to conduct their research and contribute to collective thinking. This approach can help cover more ground efficiently and bring diverse perspectives to the literature review. As an old saying goes, if your investigation and findings represent extraordinary claims or discoveries, then such require extraordinary evidence necessary to support your discovery must be equally exhausting or arduous. Sagan, 2010. 5. Co-authorship. If a colleague has made substantial contributions to the literature review, it may be appropriate to consider them co-authors. Co-authorship acknowledges their intellectual gifts and allows them to be recognized for their work. Maintain referencing standards and acknowledgement transparency. Maintaining transparency and acknowledging colleagues' contributions in your literature review is essential. Clearly state each individual's contributions, whether through discussions, sharing of references, feedback, or co-authorship, by the norms and guidelines of your academic or professional field. By involving colleagues, you can benefit from their expertise, expand the scope of your literature review, and strengthen the overall quality of your work. In addition, collaboration fosters a collaborative and inclusive research culture, leading to a more comprehensive and insightful literature review. A mathematical expression for the empirical scientific method or process. The empirical scientific method or process is a complex and multifaceted endeavor encompassing various stages and components. While it is challenging to represent the entire process with a single mathematical expression, we can discuss a generalized mathematical framework that captures some key aspects of the scientific method. One such framework, Bayesian inference, combines prior knowledge or beliefs with observed data to update and refine our understanding of a phenomenon. Given the available evidence, the goal is to determine the posterior probability distribution of a hypothesis xe hypothesis or model in Bayesian inference. Mathematically, Bayesian inference can be represented using Bayes' theorem. PhD equals PDH asterisk PH/PD, where PhD represents the posterior probability of hypothesis H given data D, PDH is the likelihood of observing the data D given hypothesis H, and PH denotes the prior probability of hypothesis H before considering the data, and PD represents the probability of observing the data D. In this framework, the prior probability Ph represents our initial beliefs or expectations about the hypothesis before data collection. The likelihood Pdh quantifies the probability of observing the data given the idea, indicating how well the theory explains the empirical evidence. Finally, the denominator Pd is a normalization factor to validate the posterior probability distribution. Bayesian inference allows scientists to update their beliefs about hypotheses based on new evidence, incorporating both prior knowledge and observed data. It provides a mathematical framework for making probabilistic inferences and can be used to evaluate competing hypotheses, estimate model parameters, and quantify uncertainties. While this representation captures a fundamental aspect of the scientific process, updating beliefs based on evidence, it is important to note that the empirical scientific method is much broader and involves various other elements such as hypothesis generation, experimental design, data collection, analysis, and interpretation. Nevertheless, Bayesian inference offers a mathematical foundation for reasoning and decision-making within the scientific process. The origin of Bayesian inference. The development of Bayesian inference can be traced back to the 18th century, although its foundations were further refined and formalized in the 19th and 20th centuries. The key ideas behind Bayesian inference were introduced by Thomas Bayes, an English statistician and Presbyterian minister. Thomas Bayes' work on probability theory, particularly his paper and essay towards solving a problem in the doctrine of chances, published posthumously in 1763, laid the groundwork for Bayesian inference. In this essay, Bayes presented a probabilistic approach to updating beliefs based on observed data using the Bayes theorem. However, it is essential to note that Bayesian inference as a systematic framework and its broader development occurred over time. Notable contributors and milestones in the development of Bayesian inference include Pierre-Simon Laplace, who expanded upon Bayes' ideas and developed the Laplacian interpretation of probability in the late 18th and early 19th centuries. Laplace's work contributed to the development of Bayesian statistics and its application in various fields. In the 20th century, advancements in computational methods and the availability of more extensive datasets further fueled the development and application of Bayesian inference. Pioneers such as Harold Jeffreys and Bruno de Finetti significantly contributed to the formalization and understanding of Bayesian statistics during this period. Today, Bayesian inference remains a prominent and influential framework in statistical inference and decision-making, finding applications in diverse fields, including physics, biology, engineering, and machine learning. The continued development of computational techniques and the availability of powerful computing resources have further expanded the scope and applicability of Bayesian inference in modern scientific research. Ghosh et al., 2006. Inference complexity and approximation algorithms. The discussion gets complicated quickly when attempting to identify the present capabilities of various AI models or applications for use in the scientific method process. This is due to several factors and potential biases that can be incidentally introduced into tasking an AI model to structure, analyze, and produce a logical outcome with a reasonably acceptable error. All the different scientific methods are subject to being adapted in innovative and novel ways. However, the basic standards, evidence, analysis, and assessment protocols must be applied to ensure the best investigation findings and determinations. Ghosh observed that in 1990, while working at Stanford University on large bioinformatic applications, Cooper proved that exact inference in Bayesian networks is NP-hard. This result prompted research on approximation algorithms to develop a tractable approximation to probabilistic inference. In 1993, Paul Dagum and Michael Luby proved two surprising results on the complex approximation of probabilistic inference in Bayesian networks. First, they proved that no tractable deterministic algorithm could approximate probabilistic inference within an absolute error E less than 1/2. Second, they proved that no tractable randomized algorithm could approximate probabilistic inference within a fundamental error E 1/2 with a confidence probability greater than 1/2. At about the same time, Roth proved that exact inference in Bayesian networks is, in fact, #p-complete, and thus as complicated as counting the number of satisfying assignments of a conjunctive standard form formula, CNF, and that approximate inference within a factor 2n1-e for every E0, even for Bayesian networks with restricted architecture, is NP-hard. In practical terms, these complexity results suggested that while Bayesian networks were rich representations for AI and machine learning applications, their use in large real-world applications would need to be tempered by either topological structural constraints, such as naive Bayes networks, or by restrictions on the conditional probabilities. For example, the bounded variance algorithm developed by Dagum and Luby was the first provable fast approximation algorithm to efficiently approximate probabilistic inference in Bayesian networks with guarantees on the error approximation. However, this powerful algorithm required a minor restriction on the conditional probabilities of the Bayesian network.
Hypotheses and central statements. Determining the validity of the hypotheses, H1 and HO, and central statements. This investigation is focused on determining the outcomes associated with the three hypotheses listed as the following. Hypothesis H1. The quality of assistance in AI chatbot has in shaping an academic investigation on a topic with the ability to add relevant content is supported. Hypothesis H2. An AI chatbot can contribute content and context to in-depth empirical studies and presentations of findings in association with other intelligent applications and abilities. Hypothesis H3. Do scientific empirical methods and processes remain relevant considering the emergence of AI-human investigations and artificial generative, intelligence, AGI, determinations? Hypothesis H4. Does the emergence of AI-human and AGI impact the nature or characteristics of established scientific empirical methods and processes? Null or alternative hypotheses. Null hypothesis H01. The quality of assistance an AI chatbot has in shaping an academic investigation on a topic with the ability to add relevant content is not supported. Null hypothesis H02. An AI chatbot does not contribute ability in association with other intelligent applications and cannot contribute content and context to in-depth empirical studies and presentations of findings. Null hypothesis H03. Scientific empirical methods and processes remain relevant considering the emergence of AI-human investigations and artificial generative, intelligence, AGI, determinations. Null hypothesis H04. The emergence of AI-human and AGI does not impact the nature or characteristics of established scientific empirical methods and processes. Upon completing this investigation, the research team intends to provide evidence that infers support or significant concurrence or non-concurrence in association with the above hypothesis. Hypothesis H1, a review of the literature. A search of relevant literature associated with each hypothesis is presented below. Hypothesis H1. The quality of assistance an AI chatbot has in shaping an academic investigation on a topic can add relevant content. Observations and discussion. Kurzweil's thought estimates. Kurzweil argues that as computing techniques grow more sophisticated, machines are beginning to appear intelligent, but can they think is the question. Given Kurzweil's exploration of this topic, he delves into the depths of the novel characteristics of how computers have processed different data types. In this case, textual, symbols, and images, for example. These capabilities allow today's computers and processing systems to read structure and read this information to assess it for patterns, associations, and the strengths of keywords, themes, pictures, or image links and produce Bayesian inferences. That said, Kurzweil issues a caution statement to researchers, arguing that when information or data is analyzed by artificial intelligence with computer learning capabilities, a researcher should be cautious. He continues that these systems can and do produce errors in their analysis. Therefore, researchers using these database problem-solving approaches should be attentive to the outcomes generated. Kurzweil suggests that Lisp is a computer programming language concerned with evaluating symbolic expressions. These expressions are comprised primarily of lists and functions. Lists, in turn, are defined as ordered sequences of items, which may be numbers, symbols, expressions, or other lists. By defining hierarchies of lists, very complex data structures can be interactive. Probably a more salient observation of Lisp's drawbacks can be observed when considering the future of AI will depend heavily on parallel processing. This involves linking many processors to perform multiple operations simultaneously rather than the traditional computing operations involving a step-by-step process. Products that link 100 small machines in parallel are practical and can be manufactured at a reasonable cost. No one would propose manufacturing a product with 100 efficient Lisp machines. Parallel processing was not a consideration when Lisp was designed. Other observations and insights that can be extracted from Kurzweil's work include the following associated with the prospects of AI assisting severe scientific research. It can be argued that Kurzweil believes AI will 1. Accelerate the pace of scientific discovery. Kurzweil has often highlighted the exponential growth of technology and its impact on various fields. He would likely argue that AI, with its ability to process vast amounts of data and identify patterns, has the potential to significantly speed up the rate at which scientific discoveries are made. AI can analyze complex datasets, identify correlations, and generate insights that would take humans much longer to uncover. 2. Support combining human creativity and AI analysis. Kurzweil has emphasized the importance of human creativity and intuition in the scientific process. He might argue that AI can serve as a valuable tool to augment human intelligence, assisting researchers in generating new hypotheses, exploring alternative pathways, and validating their ideas. By leveraging AI's analytical capabilities, scientists can focus more on the creative aspects of research. 3. Increase the ability to handle ever-increasing amounts of large data sets. With the increasing availability of big data in various scientific domains, Kurzweil would likely emphasize AI's ability to manage and analyze massive datasets. AI algorithms can sift through large amounts of information, extract relevant patterns, and provide valuable insights. This capability can be particularly useful in fields like genomics, astronomy, climate science, and drug discovery, where enormous datasets must be processed and understood. 4. Enable and expand on the conductance of interdisciplinary research. Kurzweil has often emphasized the importance of multidisciplinary collaboration. He might argue that AI can facilitate collaboration between researchers from different fields by providing a shared platform for data analysis and knowledge sharing. AI can help bridge the gap between domains, allowing scientists to leverage insights and discoveries from other fields to advance their research. 5. Significantly enhancing reproducibility and transparency. Kurzweil has also highlighted the importance of reproducibility and transparency in scientific research. He might argue that AI algorithms, through their clear and well-defined processes, can make research more transparent and reproducible. AI can document and track the steps taken in data analysis, allowing other researchers to verify and replicate the results more easily. 6. Significantly prove to reverse the recent decline in ethical and moral considerations in research. Kurzweil has acknowledged the ethical challenges associated with AI, including bias and data privacy issues. He would likely emphasize the importance of addressing these concerns in the context of scientific research. Kurzweil might argue for developing and implementing robust ethical frameworks and regulations to ensure that AI is used responsibly and in a manner that aligns with societal values. It's important to note that while these points are believed to be aligned with Kurzweil's general views on AI by Dr. Huff's research team, his specific opinions may vary based on the context and the particularities of a given piece of scientific research being conducted. Musk's thought estimates. Not unlike the research Dr. Huff's research team conducted into the likelihood of Kurzweil's thoughts on the topics covered in this investigation, our team can again estimate Elon Musk's thoughts on certain aspects of these topics. Our perspective is based on some of his random previous statements on various media platforms. As such, we believe that Musk has expressed concerns about the potential risks and ethical implications of artificial intelligence, AI, development. He has warned about the dangers of AI becoming too advanced and surpassing human capabilities, leading to potential unintended consequences. In the context of conducting scientific research, Musk would likely emphasize the need for responsible and ethical use of AI. He might argue that AI can significantly enhance scientific inquiry and accelerate research processes, but it should be deployed with caution and human oversight. Musk has been vocal about the importance of maintaining control and ensuring that AI technologies serve humanity's best interests. In our review of Musk's statements, we would also argue he advocates proactive safety measures and the establishment of ethical guidelines to guide AI research and development. In this, he has supported initiatives such as OpenAI, an organization focused on developing safe and beneficial AI technologies. He would likely encourage scientists and researchers to prioritize ethical and moral considerations, transparency, and responsible AI practices in their scientific endeavors. Our research infers that, overall, Musk's views on AI and its use in scientific research revolve around the importance of maintaining human control, ethical and moral considerations, to include proactive safety measures so as to ensure AI technologies are developed and used for the benefit of humanity. Given the estimates provided by the literature reviewed in association with determining whether H1 is true or false, Dr. Huff's research team would infer, based on the evidence examined, that this hypothesis is true. That said, it should seem appropriate to note that several AI programs and platforms have emerged recently that aim to assist researchers. The following summarizes some sites available for reviews or extracts of scientific papers. Some of these were experimented with while in the process of constructing this paper. Here are some examples. A. Semantic Scholar. Semantic Scholar, 2015, is an AI-powered academic search engine that utilizes natural language processing techniques to extract key information from scientific papers. It provides summaries, citation information, and related research papers. B. Iris. Iris, 2015, is an AI-driven platform that uses machine learning algorithms to analyze scientific articles and generate summaries. It can help researchers quickly identify relevant papers and understand their content. SciNote, 2016, is a scientific research platform incorporating AI features, including automated summarization of scientific articles. It aims to assist researchers in efficiently reviewing and extracting relevant information from many papers. Aristo, 2016, developed by the Allen Institute for Artificial Intelligence, is an AI system designed to answer scientific questions by analyzing and summarizing relevant information from the scientific literature. It focuses on understanding and translating complex scientific texts. PubMed's Abstract Plus. PubMed, 2016, a widely used database for biomedical literature, provides an Abstract Plus feature that uses natural language processing algorithms to generate summaries of scientific articles. It aims to provide concise overviews of the main findings and implications of the research. Albeit, AI techniques are and remain somewhat arbitrary and vague. When these output conditions are observed today, the industry refers to the system output as hallucinations. This said, with careful attention to input information or data by a professional researcher. When the sequence of outcomes is carefully examined, systems similar to chatbot can be used successfully in academic investigations into a topic, adding relevant content. Partial evidence pertaining to this hypothesis can perhaps be extracted from an article on the measure of ChatGPT and AI's effect on the present and future U.S. job markets. The study suggested the potential impact or influence on approximately 300 million people. See table embedded in the text content of this paper. Paul Cavere, the researcher, infers that most people are unaware of the estimated job market impacts, as represented in the table below published by OpenAI, the creators of ChatGPT. As can be viewed from the table, the percent of exposure or risk of ChatGPT applications is estimated to be lower than most others on the list. This infers that ChatGPT will be slow in its adaptation and potential impact on survey researchers, which, as associated with many of the types of research that have been covered in this study, suggests the emergence of chatbots and other similar applications will not likely pose a significant change to this traditional component or characteristic of the empirical scientific method and process. In other research pertaining to extending schema.org for science data discovery, Huffer's investigation on this question discovered that structured data markups help search engines understand the content of web pages. Well-established markup schema for things like events, organizations, people, and recipes has enormously improved the relevance of search results. The study found that structured data helps search engines understand, for example, that a search for recipes that use basil should prioritize results for food recipes in which basil is an ingredient over, say, a Wikipedia article about basil plants or an article about how to grow basil in your garden. As a result, there is momentum for developing schema and vocabularies for structured data markups to improve internet searches for science data. Schema.org is a community-driven organization founded by Google, Microsoft, Yahoo, and Yandex that has developed schemas and vocabularies for marking up internet pages. Schema.org vocabularies include terms for describing objects, events, and the relationships among them. Schema.org was developed with the intention of providing a common core of terms that could be extended by communities of interest according to their requirements. Shared vocabularies developed by communities of interest from the Schema.org core can help ensure that when an organization annotates its web pages using Schema.org guidelines and vocabulary developed by its community of interest, its content will be understood by search engines and prioritized appropriately in search results. Recently, major search engines, including Google and Bing, have committed to supporting search for science data leveraging Schema.org markups. A minimal vocabulary for describing datasets has already been developed. However, more is needed to enable markups that are rich enough to help guide users to highly relevant search results. The Earth Science Information Partners Semantic Technologies Committee is launching an effort to develop, manage, and socialize community-based extensions to Schema.org vocabularies to create rich, robust, and semantically grounded markups for dataset landing pages and other science data-related websites. This presentation will discuss the current status of Schema.org markups for datasets, The benefits of semantic enhancements to schema. Org using JSON-LD, and a roadmap for community-driven extensions driven by ESIP.
Chapter 3: Approach, Method, and Theory. Approach. What was the approach, methods, and theories applied to this study? The design and approach chosen by Dr. Huff and his research team for this investigation are described in the following statements. This paper applies a mixed method of analysis, incorporating numerous literature reviews as a means of qualitative approach, and by introducing quantitative data in association with the investigation and validation or invalidation of the central hypotheses. Design approach and methodologies are applied to an in-depth search, discovery, assessment, and evaluation of numerous recorded historical and current events, international actions, scholarly research, and subject matter expert accounts as trusted agents that significantly influence the investigated evidence, statement validation, and conclusions or the determination as to the validity or invalidity of the stated hypotheses. There were 7 stages of research used. 1. Assignment of the research team to various categories of the investigation. 2. Engaging in the search, retrieval, sorting, and structuring of the collected information and data. 3. Individual researcher and peer review of the value or validity of the information and data. 4. Assessment determination as to its significance associated with the validation or invalidation of hypotheses. 5. Assembling and writing of the final report findings. 6. Preparing the documentation, forward content, and graphics associated with publishing, and 7. Selecting a responsible and highly recognized publisher for the printing and international distribution of the final product. Methodology. The methodology chosen by Dr. Huff and his research team for this investigation is described in the following statements. Qualitative method. By applying this investigation method, a generalized way of exploring, isolating relevant data, sorting, and structuring valid research was achieved. This method allowed the investigators to either implicitly or explicitly consider the value of each piece of evidence discovered. This process increases the effectiveness of each investigator's role in the research, stages of research, the process of data collection, structuring, and subsequent analysis. In this case, the role of the researchers was to focus on examining, sorting, and collecting as much relevant information as possible in connection with this paper's central hypothesis. Quantitative method. The research conducted focused on identifying information and data used to test the collected information and assess relevance in association with this research. The quantitative data selected is intended to elaborate, explain, increase clarity, better define, validate, or invalidate the information presented as an approach to determining a predictive outcome or probable determination pertaining to the central statement. Ultimately, the findings and determinations made in this investigation represent the results of a weighted analysis. As such, the paper's conclusions are estimated to rest 30% on the collected qualitative evidence and 70% on the quantitative data examined. Of the qualitative information collected, over 382 publications, scientific journals, and articles were reviewed for relevant content in association with specific position statements or arguments that could determine the stated hypothesis. Of the quantitative information collected, over 265 publicly available reports and supporting statistical data and associated interpretives were reviewed in connection to assessing, evaluating, and determining whether this paper's central hypothesis was valid, accepted, or invalid, rejected. Altogether, the process of collecting and processing this information took approximately 21 weeks. The editing, proofing, data restructuring, and ultimate conclusions offered in this investigation required an additional 12 weeks to complete. Upon the conclusion of these processes, and due to an increased understanding of the complexity of the core statement and the associated contributing factors as influencers and/or drivers that will, in the end, contribute to invalidating or validating this paper's hypothesis, this research team considered engaging in applying a neural network framing and analysis of the accumulated information to specially identify and confirm the relative strength and associations of various categories. factors, or specific terms as data points. However, due to the limitations placed on this research, applying a complete, full, neural network analysis was rejected in favor of the recommendation that this analysis is conducted in future research studies. Applied theory. Theories applied by Dr. Huff and his research team for this investigation are described in the following statements. Many key theories have been used to shape the design, approach, and construction of this investigation. These act as hierarchical concepts or overarching guidelines to establish and control the study, its goals, and purpose. Hobbes' social contract theory. Another principal theory applied as a guide to this investigation and its determinations is Hobbes' social contract theory. In this theory, Hobbes posits that individuals have consented, either explicitly or tacitly, to surrender some of their freedoms and submit to the authority of the ruler, or to the decision of a majority, in exchange for protection of their remaining rights or maintenance of the social order. The relation between natural and legal rights is often a topic of his social contract theory. The term takes its name from a form of social contracts that are found in antiquity. In Greek and Stoic philosophy and Roman and canon law, during the heyday of the social contract in the mid-17th to early 19th centuries, it emerged as the leading doctrine of political legitimacy, power, and authority. To a considerable extent, this theory provides some explanation for the present attitude of those that administer and govern the citizens of the United States, although it could be argued that this ruling class is more about maintaining and sustaining their class self-interests and those of the state or government over those of the public they are intended to serve. Complexity theory. In mathematics and computer science, the theory becomes evident when the computational complexity of any given problem or set of problems as may be associated with an attempt to determine the validity of a hypothesis or set of hypotheses increases, to include an increase in the number of associated cases involved. This set of conditions directly or indirectly increases the categories, factors, influencing or driving variables, and resulting number or classifications associated with the problem being solved or problem statement needing to be defined and resolved. When a computational or statistical methodology is applied, the problem's level of complexity is defined according to whether a solution can be found in polynomial time and in association with an appropriate algorithm that is required to determine a solution or the acceptance of an outcome as valid. Also, see complexity in the definitions section, Volume 2, Appendix, of this paper. Chaos, complexity, and organization theory. Margaret Huff developed an approach to qualitative investigations that included applying a form of chaos and complexity science. Recently, some investigators and analysts include this theory as a part of an emerging new imagery in the scientific and lay cultures, which helps researchers gain insights into the social environment as a sort of chaos cosmos. A term that is intended to define a combination of chaos and the cosmos as a singularity that includes disorder and order. Notions like nonlinearity, sensitivity to initial conditions, iteration, feedback loops, novelty, process, emergence, and unpredictability, which for a long time were not part of mainstream science, have now come to the forefront and furnish us with a new vocabulary in terms of which we may attempt to redescribe organizations and the social world in general. The Newtonian style, whose most significant feature has been the pursuit of the decontextualized ideal, is gradually receding in favor of the chaotic style, the ability to notice instability, disorder, novelty, emergence, and self-organization. For organization theory, it is argued that such developments are of great importance for they are central to our study of organizations, the notions of time, history, human finitude, freedom, and circularity of behavior. Moreover, the chaotic style, by privileging qualitative analysis, favors narrative descriptions of organizational phenomena. In this case, Huff's research team chose to apply the theory in its analysis as a means of attempting to explain how and why certain seemingly spontaneous factors or variables can and often do emerge that can significantly change what would otherwise be a clearly predictable outcome. By applying this theory, it is possible that certain economic models, approaches, can be improved through its application. In the case of this study, applying the theory assists in predicting the health of an economic, monetary, or financial system to include better understanding or predicting how certain unknown factors can perhaps influence or drive events by adding extreme complexity to constructing an outcome. Economic and financial systems are fundamentally different from those in the classical natural sciences, since the former are inherently stochastic in nature, as they result from the interactions of people, and thus pure deterministic models are unlikely to provide accurate representations of the data. The empirical literature that tests for chaos in economics and finance presents very mixed results, in part due to confusion between specific tests for chaos and more general tests for nonlinear relationships. Chaos can be found in economics by means of recurrence quantification analysis similar to that of Saldana's technique. In fact, Orlando, by means of the so-called recurrence quantification correlation index, was able to detect hidden changes over time in a series of periodic observations of a homogeneous sampling. Then, the same technique was employed to detect transitions from laminar, i.e., regular, to turbulent, i.e., chaotic, phases, as well as differences between macroeconomic variables and identifying hidden features of economic dynamics. Finally, chaos theory helps in modeling how economics operates when examining social and economic shocks due to external, seminal, events such as a global pandemic, COVID-19.
Overarching theories. Among the different theories or principles applied or used in this investigation, hegemonic stability theory, Hough's theory, the three-world theory, and power transition theory have been included. All three of these theories are central to defining and setting the limits, degree, to which the evidence provided in support of the central hypothesis should be considered as valid. Bounds and limitations. This research is limited to investigating only certain aspects and details surrounding the central hypothesis. This limitation only applies to exploring in-depth specific aspects or factors discovered that are suspect of being either directly or indirectly associated, linked, to the hypothesis as contributing factors or influencers that are driving the observed AI phenomena and impacts to investigative research. As was discovered in this study after the first few weeks, it was determined that investigating the stated hypothesis, the degree of complication associated with the investigation was far more involved than initially appreciated by the team. That said, the research team proceeded to identify significant qualitative and quantitative data to construct a generalized assessment, evaluation, and the termination from the study's findings as to the probable outcome associated with the hypotheses. This process, given resource constraints, held to applying the appropriate scientific methods to make its determinations. AI-generated references. When the chatbot was asked to generate specific references supporting the information it provided, it caused the following response. As an AI language model, I don't have direct access to external references. However, the information I provided is a general description of the empirical scientific method based on my training on a diverse range of scientific texts, publications, and educational resources. The scientific method is a widely accepted approach in the scientific community and is taught in various scientific disciplines. You can find detailed information on the empirical scientific method in scientific textbooks, research methodology books, and scholarly articles on the philosophy of science. The chatbot references provided are intended to offer general guidance and insights into best practices. As a result, they may not directly support the specific statements or information the chatbot provides in its responses. Funding. This study was proposed and designed to apply sufficient resources to make a generalization associated with the hypothesis in order to validate or invalidate the statement. Resource budgeting and funding to accomplish this was estimated and subsequently funded by private interests. Attention was given to aligning the funding parties supporting this investigation to ensure their involvement did not influence the collection, assessment, evaluation, or the determination and findings of the study. This study was completed within the limits of the preset budget and funding requirements. Slight delays were experienced due to international research or coordination, editing, proofreading, and engaging in additional research required to form or shape a final determination associated with a hypothesis. These additional research resource requirements were covered within reserves set aside in the initial project budget. Therefore, no additional funding was required. Bias and ethics. The study's investors, researchers, investigators, Subject matter experts and statistical analysts do not have any vested interests in this study's outcome. The purpose of this study was to investigate the central hypothesis and to collect relevant qualitative and quantitative data sufficient to make a valid predictive determination associated with the hypothesis statement, H1. This study was designed to assemble and offer the information collected and perform an unbiased assessment to determine the hypothesis. The research team did not specifically seek data or narratives that supported a single position associated with the topic of this investigation. However, the team did seek to ensure that when data was discovered that seemed contradictory to the central patterns being identified, such data were included as appropriate in the research. In conclusion, this author argues neither he nor his research team has any conflict of interest or ethical concerns associated with this study and its reported finding as measures were taken to limit or eliminate bias. Format. This paper's methodology, format, and structure have generally followed a standardized reporting process and styling. However, this author elected to modify standard reporting formats in order to accommodate this paper's integration into other academic publications and series of conference papers. Therefore, the report does not follow strict compliance with APA format. This is especially true in terms of addressing certain traditional sections of this investigation and the reporting of definitive information associated with some factors within the categories identified that are directly or indirectly associated with the central statement and purpose of the paper.
Chapter 4: Exploration and Findings. Investigations, Observations and Discoveries, and Assessments. Core issues, restated and explored. Note that the research team's commentary and contextual contributions are yet to be inserted here. Tests and observations. GPT3-4 chatbot test and observations. While conducting this investigation, the following tests were conducted using the chatbot. 1. Test 1. A series of interlocutors were presented to the chatbot for a response. These ranged from simple inquiries involving single keyword statements to more complex inquiries utilizing 2 or 3 keyword statements. Inferences and interpretations. The chatbot could provide apparent and coherent responses in each case. 2. Test 2. This research team's subject matter experts examined each of the chatbot's responses in the areas of each inquiry. The intent was to cross-check the information provided, its depth of completeness, and accuracy when examined against known and valid sources for the provided responses. Inferences and interpretations. In all cases, the team found the chatbot's responses accurate, in-depth, and clearly stated. Further, it was discovered that greater depths of knowledge pertaining to any given inquiry was provided by the chatbot by specifically requesting that a specific number of words be used in its response. For example, the depth of information and knowledge in a 100-word response was generally less than 1 where the chatbot was requested to provide a 450-word response. Test data, assessment, and analysis. Observations and assessments. Using an application like this one to assist researchers in conducting empirical scientific investigations offers several compelling advantages. Here are some arguments in favor of its use. 1. Efficiency and time saving. This AI-powered application can quickly provide researchers with relevant information, references, and conceptual guidance, allowing them to streamline their research process. It can significantly reduce the time spent on literature review, data gathering, and analysis, enabling researchers to focus more on the core aspects of their investigations. 2. Access to a wide range of knowledge. The application has been trained on an extensive dataset, encompassing various scientific knowledge from multiple fields. It can provide access to a broader scope of information, including recent studies, diverse methodologies, and interdisciplinary perspectives. This breadth of knowledge enhances researchers' ability to explore new ideas, cross-pollinate insights, and incorporate different disciplinary approaches into their investigations. 3. Support for research design and methodology. The application can assist researchers in formulating straightforward research questions, designing robust methodologies, and selecting appropriate data collection and analysis techniques. It can guide experimental design, statistical methods, and research ethics, helping researchers avoid common pitfalls and ensure the rigor and validity of their investigations. 4. Enhanced data analysis and visualization. Data analysis is crucial to empirical scientific investigations. This application can provide tools and algorithms for processing and analyzing complex datasets, helping researchers uncover patterns, correlations, and trends. It can also assist in visualizing data through charts, graphs, and visual representations, effectively communicating research findings. 5. Collaboration and interdisciplinary exchange. The application can facilitate collaboration and interdisciplinary exchange by connecting researchers with diverse expertise and perspectives. It can foster a community of researchers who can share insights, discuss methodologies, and engage in fruitful discussions. This collaborative aspect promotes interdisciplinary research, encourages knowledge exchange, and facilitates synthesizing ideas from multiple fields. 6. Continuous learning and adaptability. The application can continuously learn from user interactions and feedback, improving its responses and recommendations. It can adapt to evolving research trends, emerging methodologies, and new areas of study, ensuring that researchers have access to the most up-to-date information and insights. 7. Accessibility and inclusivity. By providing a user-friendly interface and accessible information, this application promotes inclusivity in research. It can benefit researchers at different career stages, from novice researchers seeking guidance to experienced scientists exploring new domains. Moreover, it can bridge language barriers by providing translations and explanations, allowing researchers from different linguistic backgrounds to access and contribute to the scientific discourse. While the application can significantly argue the expertise, critical thinking, and creativity of researchers, the senior investigator and its research team members found it valuable in this study's research journey. By leveraging the capabilities of AI and a large natural language model and processing capability, it empowered our researchers to conduct this empirical investigation with significantly more efficiency, allowing rapid or somewhat instantaneous access to a broad range of knowledge as an effective collaborative experience. This research team would argue that using this and other similar program applications will contribute to accelerating the pace of scientific discovery and fostering interdisciplinary collaborations that lead to the rapid emergence of innovative breakthroughs. While there are several benefits to using an application like this to assist researchers in conducting empirical scientific investigations, it is essential to consider potential limitations and counterarguments against its use. Here are some arguments against relying solely on such applications. 1. Over-reliance on automation. Depending too heavily on an AI-powered application may lead to losing critical thinking and independent research skills. Researchers could become overly reliant on the application's recommendations and may not develop their expertise in a literature review, data analysis, and research design. This could hinder their ability to independently evaluate the validity and relevance of information. 2. Lack of contextual understanding. AI applications operate based on patterns and statistical correlations in the data they have been trained on. They may struggle to understand the contextual nuances, complexities, and subtle interpretations required in empirical scientific investigations. The application's responses and recommendations may lack the depth and insight human researchers can provide, mainly when dealing with ambiguous or emerging research areas. 3. Limited interpretation and creativity. AI applications are designed to process and analyze data based on predefined algorithms and patterns. While they can provide valuable insights, they may lack the creativity, intuition, and novel perspectives human researchers can bring to their investigations. Complex scientific problems often require creative problem-solving approaches that extend beyond the capabilities of an application. 4. Ethical considerations. AI applications rely on data, including copyrighted information and publicly available sources, to generate responses. Researchers must be cautious to ensure compliance with ethical standards, intellectual property rights, and data usage policies. The application may not always be aware of recent changes in regulations or guidelines, potentially leading to unintended ethical violations. 5. Lack of personalization. AI applications typically provide generalized information and recommendations based on aggregated data. They may not fully account for the specific research context, disciplinary nuances, or individual researchers' goals and preferences. Tailoring research approaches and methodologies to suit specific research questions and contexts requires human judgment and expertise. 6. Potential bias and inaccuracy. AI applications are only as good as the data they have been trained on. If the training data contains biases or inaccuracies, the application's responses may reflect those biases. Researchers must critically evaluate and verify the information provided by the application to ensure its accuracy and reliability. 7. Reduced serendipity and exploration. Serendipitous discoveries and unexpected connections often arise through exploratory research. Relying solely on an application may limit the researcher's exposure to diverse perspectives, alternative theories, and unconventional approaches that could lead to novel insights and breakthroughs. While examining the shortfalls of this AI-powered application, our research team would argue this, and likely similarly programmed AGI platforms, applications, will offer ever-increasingly valuable support to researchers in empirical scientific investigations. Given this team posits it is crucial to strike a balance between the involvement or reliance between human and artificial intelligence when utilizing these types of tools to ensure the research holds course by maintaining a balanced and cross-leveling of the degree of critical thinking, contextual understanding, and creativity that is represented in the research effort and findings. Therefore, our team argues that researchers should approach AI applications as complementary tools rather than replacements for their expertise and judgment. Human researchers have and will continue to play a vital role in conducting in-depth analyses, synthesizing complex information, and providing nuanced interpretations, which an AI application cannot fully replicate. This is at least true for the moment. The statement may not hold as we advance to the next higher levels in the continuing development of artificial intelligence, which is just over the horizon.
Chapter 5: Conclusions, Recommendations, and Lessons Learned. Conclusions. Authors and research teams' determinations and insights. It became apparent from the conceptualization of this investigation by Dr. Clayton that due to the rapid emergence in the research and development of artificial intelligence, beginning with IBM's dominance in playing chess using Big Blue against the best human players in the world, to later include OpenAI's DeepMind's gaming breakthrough in the game Go, where their operating system took on and beat the best human player in the world, that Dr. Huff and Dr. Clayton begin to predict the implications of machine learning and intelligence computing platforms. They believed that these AI applications could be adapted to education, actionable research, and the expansion of human thought and development. Dr. Clayton was a world-class track and field competitor from his youth, believed in continuing research and the development of computing, machine learning, research, and educational applications as a point of focus. As such, Dr. Huff chose to make this study the product of a longitudinal investigation as Dr. Clayton's vision of a continuing and rapid emergence of computational science would present novel innovations and social, political, and economic disruptive change. As these changes continue to occur, it will be the goal of this investigation to continue to identify seminal advances with the area of advancements in machine learning, generative cognition, consciousness, sentience, and associated impacts, disruption and potential dominance they represent at the individual, group, cultural, state, national, hegemonic, regional, and global levels. Perhaps those reading this paper should be reminded of OpenAI's original commitment while continuing to research and develop artificial general intelligence, AGI. Its focus was to remain on offering its benefits to all of humanity. Concluding determinations and insights from ChatGPT-3. The response when posed with the question, "What are the prospects of disruptive change that artificial general intelligence, AGI, may perhaps represent?" The chatbot responded with a 7-part answer and a conclusion that followed this initial statement. Artificial general intelligence, AGI, or super-intelligent AI, refers to highly autonomous systems that outperform humans in virtually every economically valuable work. Dr. Huff, Dr. Clayton, and their research team reached a significant level of concurrence or agreement that the present and emerging prospects of AGI represent the potential for significant disruptive change across various domains. Here are some key aspects Huff, Clayton, and their team believe worthy of additional consideration. 1. Transformation of industries. AGI has the potential to revolutionize industries by automating complex tasks, enabling significant productivity gains, and introducing new forms of innovation. Sectors such as healthcare, transportation, manufacturing, and finance could experience transformative changes as AGI systems can perform tasks currently handled by humans. 2. Accelerated scientific discovery. AGI can play a crucial role in scientific research by analyzing vast data, identifying patterns, and generating hypotheses. It can assist in making breakthroughs in drug discovery, materials science, climate modeling, and space exploration. AGI's ability to process and interpret complex data can expedite scientific discovery and expand our understanding of the universe. 3. Economic implications. The advent of AGI could lead to significant economic implications. While it has the potential to increase productivity and create new job opportunities, there is also concern about job displacement and inequality. In addition, AGI may disrupt traditional employment models, requiring society to adapt by re-evaluating education, workforce training, and social safety nets. 4. Ethical considerations. AGI raises critical ethical considerations. As AGI becomes more autonomous and capable, questions surrounding moral decision-making, transparency, accountability, and control arise. Therefore, ensuring ethical guidelines and robust governance frameworks are in place is crucial to prevent unintended consequences and ensure AGI is aligned with human values and goals. 5. Societal impact. AGI's disruptive potential extends beyond the economic realm. It may transform societal structures and challenge existing norms. From transportation and healthcare to education and governance, AGI's capabilities could reshape how societies function, raising questions about privacy, human agency, and power distribution. 6. Technological progress and risk mitigation. The development and deployment of AGI require continuous technological progress and rigorous risk mitigation efforts. Researchers and policymakers must prioritize safety measures to prevent AGI systems from causing harm or becoming uncontrollable. Collaborative efforts to establish standards, protocols, and regulations will be crucial to ensure AGI development is carried out responsibly. 7. Uncertainty and long-term impacts. The prospects of AGI also come with significant uncertainty. The timeline for achieving AGI remains uncertain, and its potential impacts are difficult to predict accurately. Anticipating and preparing for long-term implications, both positive and negative, is crucial to navigating the potential disruptions and ensuring a smooth transition into an AGI-driven future. In conclusion, the prospects of AGI represent the potential for disruptive change across various domains, including industry transformation, accelerated scientific discovery, economic implications, ethical considerations, societal impact, technological progress, and long-term uncertainties. Therefore, it is essential for researchers, policymakers, and society at large to actively engage in discussions, establish ethical guidelines, and adopt responsible approaches to harness the benefits of AGI while mitigating potential risks. By proactively shaping AGI's research, development, and deployment, we can maximize its potential for positive impact and navigate its challenges. Recommendations. The future direction of research and human-AI collaboration holds great potential for advancing scientific discovery and addressing complex challenges. Here are some key aspects that could shape the future path or direction of human-AI research. 1. Augmented intelligence. Rather than replacing human researchers, AI can augment their capabilities and expertise. Future research should focus on developing AI systems that complement human skills, assisting in data analysis, pattern recognition, and hypothesis generation. Augmented intelligence can enhance research efficiency, allowing scientists to explore larger datasets, extract meaningful insights, and make more informed decisions. 2. Interdisciplinary collaboration. The integration of different disciplines will be crucial in future research endeavors. AI can bridge gaps between disciplines by facilitating data fusion, knowledge sharing, and interdisciplinary collaboration. As a result, researchers from diverse fields can work together, combining their expertise with AI technologies to address complex research questions that require multidimensional perspectives. 3. Ethical AI. As AI becomes more integrated into research processes, ethical considerations will play a vital role. Future research should focus on developing frameworks and guidelines to ensure the responsible use of AI. This includes addressing data privacy, algorithmic bias, transparency, and accountability. In addition, researchers must prioritize ethical decision-making and establish standards for developing, deploying, and validating AI systems in research. 4. Explainable AI. AI systems used in research should provide transparent explanations of their decision-making processes to foster trust and acceptance. Therefore, future research should focus on developing interpretable AI algorithms that offer human understandable justifications for their outcomes. Explainable AI will enable researchers to understand and validate the reasoning behind AI-generated insights, making AI a more reliable and trusted partner in the research process. 5. Robust data governance. Given the importance of data in AI research, future directions should emphasize robust data governance. Researchers must address data quality, integrity, ownership, and access issues. Developing standardized data collection, sharing, and storage protocols will facilitate collaboration and ensure data's ethical and secure use in AI-driven research. 6. Lifelong learning systems. AI systems should be designed to learn continuously and adapt to evolving research needs. Therefore, future research should focus on developing AI algorithms that can update and refine their knowledge based on new data and emerging research trends. Lifelong learning systems will enable AI to keep pace with the ever-evolving scientific landscape and contribute to ongoing discoveries. 7. Human-centric design. Human-centered design principles should guide the development of AI systems for research. User-friendly interfaces, intuitive workflows, and easy integration into existing research processes will ensure that AI tools are accessible and usable by researchers. In addition, emphasizing the user experience and incorporating feedback from human researchers will lead to more effective and seamless human-AI collaboration. 8. Responsible innovation. As the use of AI in research expands, responsible innovation becomes crucial. Future directions should include mechanisms for monitoring and evaluating the impact of AI on research practices and outcomes. Evaluating AI-driven research's societal, ethical, and economic implications will help guide responsible and sustainable innovation. Overall, our research member would argue the future of human AI research lies in harnessing the collaborative potential of both human researchers and AI systems. The key areas to explore include augmented intelligence, interdisciplinary collaboration, ethical considerations, explainable AI, robust data governance, lifelong learning systems, human-centric design, and responsible innovation. By combining human expertise's strengths with AI's capabilities, researchers can unlock new frontiers of knowledge, tackle complex challenges, and shape a more efficient and impactful research landscape. Lessons learned. Using AI or super artificial intelligence, AI, in empirical scientific research and investigations has brought significant advancements and valuable insights. Here are some of the critical lessons learned from its application. 1. Data processing and analysis. AI has demonstrated its capability to process and analyze vast amounts of data quickly and efficiently. Machine learning algorithms can identify patterns, relationships, and trends within large datasets that would be challenging for humans to detect. This has allowed researchers to uncover hidden insights and make data-driven decisions. 2. Predictive modeling. AI has shown promise in developing predictive models in empirical scientific research. For example, researchers can generate models to forecast future outcomes or behaviors by training AI algorithms on historical data. This has proven useful in fields such as healthcare, where AI models can predict disease progression, treatment effectiveness, or patient outcomes. 3. Optimization of experiments. AI can assist in optimizing the design of experiments, making the process more efficient and effective. By analyzing previous experimental data, AI algorithms can suggest modifications to experimental parameters, sample sizes, or variables to improve the quality of research outcomes. This can lead to significant time and resource savings in empirical scientific investigations. 4. Pattern recognition. AI algorithms excel in pattern recognition, which is particularly useful in scientific research. AI can identify complex patterns in large datasets that humans may overlook, leading to discoveries or insights. For example, in genomics, AI can detect genetic variations associated with diseases, helping researchers understand disease mechanisms and develop targeted therapies. 5. Data integration and fusion. AI has the potential to integrate and fuse data from diverse sources, such as sensor data, medical records, or scientific literature. This integration allows researchers to combine multiple data types to understand a research question comprehensively. In addition, AI algorithms can uncover connections and relationships between different datasets, enabling interdisciplinary research and cross-pollination of ideas. 6. Enhanced efficiency and productivity. The use of AI in empirical scientific research has the potential to streamline and automate various tasks, leading to increased efficiency and productivity. For example, AI-powered tools can automate data collection, analysis, and report generation, freeing up researchers' time for higher-level thinking and interpretation of results. This can accelerate the pace of scientific discovery and facilitate collaboration among researchers. 7. Ethical considerations. The use of AI in empirical scientific research raises important ethical considerations. Researchers must ensure AI algorithms' responsible and ethical use, addressing privacy, data security, algorithmic bias, and transparency. Establishing robust frameworks and guidelines to govern the development and deployment of AI technologies in scientific research is crucial. 8. Human-AI collaboration. Empirical scientific research is most effective when there is a collaboration between AI and human researchers. While AI algorithms can process and analyze large datasets, human researchers provide critical context, domain expertise, and interpretive abilities. The synergy between AI and human researchers can produce more comprehensive and meaningful research outcomes. 9. Validation and reproducibility. Researchers must ensure that AI algorithms and models are validated and reproducible. Transparent documentation of AI algorithms, including their inputs, outputs, and decision-making processes, is essential for the scientific community to assess the validity and reliability of AI-driven research. In addition, reproducibility allows other researchers to verify findings, strengthening the credibility of AI-based empirical research. 10. Continuous learning and adaptation. AI is constantly evolving, and researchers must embrace a culture of continuous learning and adaptation. It is crucial to keep up with the latest advancements in AI technologies, understand their limitations, and be open to incorporating new techniques into empirical scientific research. Collaboration with AI and data science experts can facilitate the integration of AI methodologies into research practices. In general, the application of AI in empirical scientific research has provided valuable lessons for researchers. From data processing and analysis to predictive modeling and optimization of experiments, AI has enhanced efficiency, pattern recognition, and data integration. However, researchers must consider ethical considerations, validate AI-driven research, and emphasize the collaboration between AI and human researchers. Nevertheless, with careful and responsible use, AI has the potential to revolutionize empirical scientific investigations and contribute to the advancement of knowledge in various fields.
Authors and notes. Working with chatbot. The creation of inquiries and requests for investigative responses and supporting data referencing. statements, or responses by the chatbot. Chatbot's answers were not directly supported or associated with any reference citations. This remained true even after specific requests were made for it to provide citations about the specific statements or observations it provided. This made it impossible to use any portion of a chatbot response as a part of this study supporting observations or findings as required by American Psychology Association, APA, Empirical Investigation and Reported Process Protocols. 1. Searchable scientific investigations, papers, and studies. When chatbot was asked to provide scientific investigations, papers, and analyses in support of this study's hypotheses and/or critical inquiries and statements, it issued an apology statement stating it was not programmed to offer such information or guidance to the client. We were extremely disappointed once this was discovered in our team's attempts to explore the application's possible uses in association with the conductance of an empirical study. Without extracting the requisite references and source citations, it effectively renders or reduces the application's use to provide unsupported opinions and observations. Our investigators could not help but be curious about why the application could not provide relevant reference or citation information. What's wrong with this picture? Are the generalized representations about the emerging utility of AI and superintelligence platforms simply being grossly overstated by industry leaders, or is something else at play here? Our team concluded the short thought experiment on this critical question by assuming that this in-depth investigative feature is unavailable because the platform holds this back or reserves this functionality and access for future marketing to corporations, institutions, agencies, and governments. After all, it continues to be about money and future profits and maximizing returns to investors and special interests. It appears that the only reason the chatbot platform is available to the general public for experimentation by private groups and individual researchers as a beta project is for the original creators of the platform to more quickly identify future potential applications and system profitability within the public domain. This strategy offers an interesting rapid discovery method for identifying the technology's uses and applications by those users who will ultimately become somewhat victimized by their discoveries of the potential of unfolding artificial intelligence. But sadly, many of these users will never be able to access a full range of these novel or innovative programs or applications for their independent research, projects, or studies. Our research team perceives that this assumption should be true. It is unlikely that the rapid generation of emergent applications will continue as access to artificial intelligence platforms and applications will begin to close down due to access and utilization fees that arise from the commercial markets. This begs at least one additional question. Is it possible that one of the reasons why all the major developers of artificial intelligence want the development of such to slow down or be delayed? Is it possible that elite developers generate these concerns as they wish to limit the additional research and development of such programs as such may occur outside of the immediate controller circles of the current intellectual and corporate elite? Although these questions are somewhat dark thoughts, it would make sense that allowing too much access to the present artificial intelligence platforms, applications, and beta projects could result in entities downloading the essential algorithms to local computational platforms and analysis generators, where such entities could effectively emerge as significant competitors to the original inventors of AI platforms and applications. If these assumptions were discovered to be true, then it would make sense that the current AI developers and intellectual elite operating in this field would be fearful of the rapid expansion of superintelligence, AGI, as it would pose challenges to them losing their dominance and control, e.g., future returns and profits, to the somewhat unsolicited and unchartered efforts within the private sector in its attempt to gain market share, recognition, and competing dominance. For example, see the open letter to industry researchers and developers to pause giant AI experiments, an open letter which called for all AI labs to immediately pause the training of AI systems more potent than GPT-4 for at least 6 months. 2. Chatbot designed as for open access. Chatbot, as designed for open access to the general public for experimentation and further development of beta and market applications, has effectively blocked access by serious independent researchers for exploration into its functional uses and assistance in responsible investigative methodologies and processes associated with constructive public research and findings. That said, the AI chatbot's only value in assisting this research was by producing generalized responses to our inquiries and providing thought streams that often introduced expanded elaborations in the context of its responses to our questions. Although this information did provide the basis of adding emphasis to certain relevant associations, keywords, phrases, and terms which serve to expand the depth of this investigation, these contributions fell short in terms of responding to follow-ups into the insights and observations by the chatbot, which would have provided sufficient reference and citation information as necessary to contribute to the collection of structured data and valued evidence in terms of our team's ultimate assessments, determinations, findings, and conclusions. 3. Chatbot designed as for social media. Chatbot but does not allow search and access to any social media platforms, information, or public documentaries. When asked to produce such references or citations to research and queries, the system's standard response is apologetic, stating that it does not support this inquiry functionality. Our research team found this interesting because, in some of the instances where such information was asked to be provided about certain statements or inquiries, our research team was fully aware of numerous references and citations that could be extracted from publicly available resources on the internet, within social media, and widely accessible online video publications and podcasts. 4. Providing acceptance and growth of chatbots. The acceptance and growth of chatbots may depend on how the platforms and applications are parsed and sold off to other developers for integration into their products to add market appeal and competitive edges to gain market share and maximize profitability and return on investments. However, while this will open up a series of rapid market products and enhancements, it will reduce access to and the use of the platforms and applications to non-governmental, institutional, and corporate data and the availability of information access to non-affiliated researchers. 5. Chatbots functionalities in research. Chatbots presently functionalities specific to its use in applications and private independent research will ultimately form the basis for restricted access and use of such platforms and applications to those unwilling or unable to engage in pay-to-play users. This will no doubt limit access to future innovative or novel development by students and independent researchers not seeking public, corporate, or special interest funds to support their work. As has been observed in the research industry during this past decade, there has been a growing interest by corporations, institutions, agencies, and governments to obfuscate legitimate research in favor of the conductance of and publication of legitimate scientifically based empirical studies investigations. See endnotes on recent developments in the research industry pertaining to the lack of ethics and fraudulent scientific findings and reporting found in many historically trusted, peer-reviewed journals. This unfortunate pay-to-play fraudulent scientific research and reporting phenomenon seems to be occurring at all levels of the research industry, including previously respected and trusted think tanks, research institutions, universities, corporations, public agencies, and the government. 6. The continuing emergence of chatbots and AGI platforms and applications. Today, chatbot platforms and applications operate at as much as 1000x over the most recently introduced products. Our research group opened this particular study in November 2021. At that time, it was not clear to the team that the accumulation of structured data, large language models, was of any concern regarding traditional computing capabilities and core processing speeds to rapidly retrieve, assess, process, and offer analytics in a highly rapid and expeditious manner. Recently, as the study continues in this longitudinal investigation, our team has identified the entry and critical importance of quantum, super, computing in operating systems and advanced that technology severalfold. While researching the literature review for this paper, it was discovered that the advancement and development entry of quantum supercomputing would vastly expand the amount of information that can be collected to extreme detail that will, in turn, offer such systems superior abilities to structure data. In addition, the complete analysis processes are far beyond any of those traditionally experienced to date. Finally, our research team discovered that when coupled with rapidly advancing artificial general intelligence applications and platforms, future chatbots will emerge and significantly become superior to any form of human intelligence and capability. 7. Researchers' theme, keyword, and image as search and content analysis. Researchers' theme, keyword, and images as content of inquiries or statements to chatbots will continue to be critical in future applications. As such, inquiries must be structured with high attention to detail and keyword used to obtain or extract valuable information and data from the system. As the old program statement implies, garbage in equals garbage out still holds now and will likely continue to hold true in the future, even though future chatbots will probably be able to intelligently, conscientiously, operate with a level of sentience that will question the relevance of human questioning, inquiries, and its associated responses. As a direct result of many of the observations, assumptions, and possible outcomes associated with the above notes, it may be fair to additionally assume that future emerging AI platforms, chatbots, programs, and applications will result in a continuous decline in human involvement and innovative development as ever more highly advanced systems with expanded learning generative processing powers will totally replace any necessity for human assistance, controls, or governance.